Chapter 3451. At the same time. In an antique, tidy and clean tea house. Zhuo Tianxing, Elder Yu, Lu Jingyuan, Zhao Shaojin and Yuqing gathered together, talking and laughing. Their faces were full of anticipation. On the tea table, not only was the best tea prepared, but there was also an exquisite incense burner. Light smoke rose in spirals, and the fragrance assailed their nostrils. That's right. This was a branch of Tianyue Tower in the western continent. Lu Jingyuan and the others were naturally summoned by Zhuo Tianxing. Uncles, Elder Yu, Miss Yuqing, what's going on? Zhao Shaojin was still in a daze. Although she had seen what the woman in the black dress and the others did with her own eyes, she had no idea why. We don't know either. Zhuo Tianxing shook his head. Yuqing shook her head and said, I don't know either. She was originally busy entertaining the guests, but suddenly received a message from the Criminal Investigation Unit, asking her to pick up a few people. When she picked up Zhuo Tianxing and the others, the Criminal Investigation Unit told her to take care of Zhuo Tianxing and the others, then turned and left, not giving her a chance to ask questions. However, they could all think that this matter was definitely not that simple. Otherwise, Qin Feiyang would not have come personally to pick them up to the Black Tortoise realm. Buzz. Suddenly, a space-time transmission channel appeared in the void next to them. They immediately put down the teacups in their hands and looked toward the space-time transmission channel, only to see a man and a wolf walk out from it. It was Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the horsetail whisk. But when they walked out, Qin Feiyang stood still in the same place, not moving at all. Looking at his face, it was full of disbelief. The horsetail whisk did not enter Qin Feiyang's sea of qi immediately. The white-eyed wolf did not notice Qin Feiyang's abnormality. He waved his paws at Zhuo Tianxing and the others and said with a smile, Hello everyone, did you miss me? Zhuo Tianxing and the others could not help but shake their heads and laugh. But soon, they noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormality. Little Qin Zi, what are you doing? Although it's a reunion of old friends, there's no need to be so excited. The white-eyed wolf also noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormal behavior. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and grinned. However, Qin Feiyang acted as if he hadn't heard anything. White-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback. Something didn't seem right. Lu Jingyuan sized up Qin Feiyang, then looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, Little wolf, what's going on? I don't know. He was fine at the Rogue Cultivator Alliance just now. What's wrong with him? The white-eyed wolf shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. What? You guys just went to the Alliance capital? Zhuo Tianxing was shocked. Yes. I went for a stroll. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Stroll around? Zhao Shaojin and Yuqing looked at each other and were speechless. It was as if they were going shopping. Little Qin Zi. The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but raise his paw and pat Qin Feiyang on the shoulder. Ah. Qin Feiyang quivered and looked at the white-eyed wolf, asking, What's wrong? You're asking me what's wrong? The white-eyed wolf twitched the corner of his mouth and said, I want to ask you why you stood there motionless like a piece of wood when you came out. Me? Qin Feiyang pointed at his nose. What else? The white-eyed wolf was really speechless. He touched Qin Feiyang's forehead and muttered, You don't have a fever. Why are you acting crazy for no reason? You're the one who's acting crazy. Qin Feiyang glared at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Zhuo Tianxing and the others and said with an embarrassed smile, You're all here. Sorry, I was distracted. I don't understand why you were distracted. Elder Yu frowned. What's wrong? Why are you so worried? Zhuo Tianxing looked at him with concern. It's nothing, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said with a smile, Go to the Black Tortoise world first, then go to Sky Cloud Island and cultivate with Big Brother. What? Sky Cloud Island? Cultivate with his big brother? Are you spouting nonsense again? Zhuo Tiansheng and the others looked at each other. You'll know when the time comes. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but smile bitterly. They really thought he was crazy. Then what's going on? And those people looking for you everywhere, who are they? Even now, they want to hide us? Zhao Shaojin looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Go to the Black Tortoise world and ask Fire Lotus and Lunatic about this. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Zhuo Tiansheng and the others to the Black Tortoise world. Then, he looked at Yueqing next to him and said with a smile, don't ask for now. Knowing won't do you any good. Instead, it will pressure you. Is it that exaggerated? Yueqing was a little skeptical. It's not exaggerated at all. If you really want to know, you can ask Master when the time comes. However, I sincerely advise you not to get involved and do your business well. Otherwise, I'm afraid no one can protect your Tianyua building. Qin Feiyang shook his head. All right. Yueqing nodded. Little Qin Zi, wait a moment. The white-eyed wolf suddenly raised his paw and pondered for a while. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'm afraid that the Tianyua building won't be able to escape this disaster. After all, everyone knows that the Tianyua building developed so quickly because of you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. It seemed to make sense. Why do I feel that something is wrong? What's going on? Yueqing looked at the man and the wolf and frowned. Qin Feiyang looked Yueqing up and down for a while. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, you tell her. I'll think about a few questions. After that, Qin Feiyang sat down at the coffee table, picked up a teacup at random and drank. Qin Dage, that's the teacup I drank from. Yueqing's cheeks turned red and she hurriedly said. It's okay. Qin Feiyang shook his head and lowered his head. He drank his tea and pondered. White-eyed wolf, what's going on? Yueqing was stunned. She turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and asked. Who knows? The white-eyed wolf shrugged and then said angrily, who are you to call the white-eyed wolf? Do you believe that I won't kill you? Call me brother. Yueqing was stunned. She smiled bitterly and said, okay. Brother wolf, then brother wolf, tell me. I'm already mentally prepared. Are you sure you're mentally prepared? The white-eyed wolf looked at her teasingly. Yes. Yueqing nodded heavily. Okay, listen carefully. The white-eyed wolf was beaming with joy as he narrated the story with spittle flying everywhere. He even intentionally exaggerated the facts, which made Yueqing dumbstruck and frightened. At the same time, Zhuo Tiansheng and the others were also in the Black Tortoise world. They were also shocked and they heard the Fire Lotus's story. They never thought that Qin Feiyang and the others would attract such a huge monster when they went to the Een Demon Land. Not to mention anything else, just these dragons' princes and princesses each had a sovereign divine weapon. It was enough to make people tremble in fear. How is it? In the tea room. The white-eyed wolf took out a jar of Black Tortoise divine wine and drank a mouthful. He looked at Yueqing and asked. Yueqing glanced at the white-eyed wolf, took a deep breath, and shook her head. It's completely beyond my imagination. If it wasn't from your mouth, I wouldn't have believed that such a force still exists in the sky cloud world. So, when you go out to socialize in the future, whether it's doing or speaking, you have to be careful. The white-eyed wolf warned. Don't worry, I know what to do. Yueqing smiled slightly. It's good that you know. The white-eyed wolf nodded and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. His face was full of suspicion. What was going on with this guy? What wine fragrance? Yueqing also finally noticed the wine fragrance in the tea room. After looking around, her eyes finally locked on the wine jar in front of the white-eyed wolf. She said in surprise, "This seems to be divine wine?" "Yes." "Is there a problem?" The white-eyed wolf looked at her doubtfully. Yueqing smelled the wine fragrance and her eyes lit up. She asked, "What kind of divine wine is this?" As a businessman and a restaurant owner, she was naturally interested in wine. Black tortoise divine wine. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Black tortoise divine wine? Yuqing was slightly taken aback. Where had she heard of it before? That's right. The last time she followed Qin Feiyang to Sky Cloud Island to find the little rabbit, Qin Feiyang took out dozens of jars of wine called Black Tortoise Divine Wine and gave it to the little rabbit. But at that time, she didn't pay too much attention to it. Because in this world, there were many wines with the word divine wine in their names, but in fact, they weren't real divine wines. And the jar of Black Tortoise Divine Wine in front of her was indeed a peerless divine wine. Yuqing asked curiously, which master brewer made it? What do you want? The white-eyed wolf looked at her suspiciously. Yuqing smiled and said, what else? I just want to visit that master and see if there's a chance for cooperation. If that master agrees to cooperate, then my Tianyue Tower's business will definitely soar. Not bad. That's a business opportunity. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. You're too kind. Yuqing waved her hand. Wasn't this a basic operation? If she didn't even know this, then how could she open a restaurant and do business? This is Black Tortoise Divine Wine, right? You can't find it outside. Only we have it. As for that master brewer, there's more than one. This is the product of many masters. They spent tens of thousands of years and countless precious materials to research it. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. He was obviously bragging. More importantly, Yuqing believed him. Her face was full of admiration. They could even develop divine wine. This group of people was indeed different. Then can we cooperate? She looked at the white-eyed wolf with a look of anticipation. Cooperate? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Let's forget about cooperation. Don't try to be in the limelight during critical times. Qin Feiyang's voice suddenly sounded. Yuqing raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyang with a trace of suspicion in her eyes. The appearance of Black Tortoise Divine Wine will indeed raise your Tianyue Tower's voice to a higher level, but it will also attract attention. Now that the dragons will investigate everyone related to us, if we are too high profile now, it will inevitably attract unnecessary trouble. So it's better to keep a low profile for now. Qin Feiyang said. That's true. Yuqing thought for a while and nodded. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, then let's cooperate again in the future? Sure. Qin Feiyang nodded. Thank you, Qin Dage. Yuqing smiled gratefully. The man in front of her had really helped her too much, and it was for free. Now that this man was in trouble, she couldn't do anything to help. She felt really apologetic. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and pondered for a while. He looked at Yuqing and said, I have something to discuss with the white-eyed wolf. You go ahead and do what you need to do. Don't come to see us off later. We will leave after we are done. Where are you going? Yuqing quickly asked. Don't ask. I won't tell you even if you ask. Go. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yuqing helplessly got up and said, then take care of yourselves. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yuqing looked deeply at Qin Feiyang and nodded to the white-eyed wolf. Then, she turned and walked out of the room, closing the door behind her. Chapter 3452. What do you want to say? Why are you being so mysterious? The white-eyed wolf retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. Ever since he left the itinerant cultivator alliance, this person had been absent-minded. This was not in line with Qin Feiyang's character. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and asked, didn't someone say that fighting souls like the Eye of Heaven are unique? Eye of Heaven? The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and felt even more puzzled. Why are you suddenly asking this? Answer me first. Qin Feiyang urged. Don't you know the significance of the top 10 heaven-defying divine souls better than I do? It's not just one person who said so. Everyone thinks so. They are unique. The white-eyed wolf spoke. You only think so. Doesn't that mean that there is really a possibility that there will be a second person who has opened the eye of heaven in this world? Qin Feiyang mumbled and frowned. In the past, everyone said that it was unique, but it had not been studied. Besides, the world was huge and there were all kinds of strange things. There were many things that one did not know, but it did not mean that they did not exist. However, he still found it hard to accept. This was because this unique thinking had been deeply ingrained. Now, he was suddenly told that there was someone else who had the eye of heaven. This was equivalent to breaking his understanding of common sense and overturning his previous thinking. What exactly is going on? Can you explain it clearly? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Qin Feiyang sighed and drank a mouthful of tea. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "When I left the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, that woman secretly told me that there is also someone who has opened the eye of heaven in the dragons." What? The white-eyed wolf was originally sitting on the chair like a human, but when he heard Qin Feiyang's words, he immediately jumped up and the wine jar in his hand fell to the ground, spilling wine all over the floor. I also feel that it is too unbelievable. That's why I have been thinking about this matter. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. That's how it is. White-eyed wolf nodded in realization. If it were him, it would have reacted the same way upon hearing this news. Because it was too shocking. Let's go. To the Black Tortoise world. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly. With a wave of his hand, one man and one wolf immediately descended above the Devil's Land. Following closely. Qin Feiyang closed his eyes, his perception instantly enveloping the entire Devil's Land. He did not find Dong Xingyang, Mu Tianyang, the demon ancestor, and Mu Qing. Next. He then extended his perception to the Western Domain, Northern Domain, Southern Domain, Eastern Domain, and Middle Continent. Qin Dage, Brother Wolf, what are you doing? Fire Lotus leaped into the air and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Shoo! White-eyed wolf gestured for him to keep quiet. He was also in disbelief. What's the situation? Fire Lotus was even more confused. Found it. Suddenly. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Dong Xingyang was training in a city in the Eastern Domain. The demon ancestor and the demon dragon were cultivating in a mountain in the Southern Domain. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing were in a desert in the Northern Domain. They were like two ascetic monks in the secular world, wandering aimlessly. Beside the two of them, there was a mature woman. This woman was Guosweki. After not seeing her for so many years, she was even more charming than before. After all, Guosweki was quite good-looking. However, for Qin Feiyang, other than a few women, he was too lazy to look at other women. As for the grudge with Guosweki, to be honest, he did not take it to heart. He had even forgotten about it. As long as Guosweki could stay obediently in the Black Tortoise world, he would not make things difficult for her. Swish! Qin Feiyang waved his hand. White-eyed wolf and Fire Lotus's bodies became light. The next moment, they appeared above a giant mountain. On the mountain peak below, a person was sitting. It was the demon ancestor. The scenery here was not bad. The vegetation was lush and full of vitality. At the foot of the mountain, there was a river. The river water was so clear that one could see the bottom. Behind the demon ancestor, there was a small thatched cottage. It was old and simple. Beside it, there was an old locust tree that swayed in the wind. The demon ancestor sat under the tree. There was a stone table, 6 stone stools, and a pot of tea. It was very plain and simple. The demon dragon was lying on the stone table, sleeping with his eyes closed. When Qin Feiyang appeared with White-eyed Wolf and Fire Lotus, the demon dragon immediately opened his eyes. 2 rays of cold light shot out of his eyes. When he realized that it was Qin Feiyang and the others, the cold light in his eyes gradually faded. Not bad. You know how to slack off. Qin Feiyang landed on the mountain peak and smiled at the demon ancestor. Although the black tortoise world had passed for hundreds of millions of years, the demon ancestor was still the same as before. He was a young man full of energy. The difference was, compared to before, the demon ancestor's aura was less vicious and more honest. Am I slacking off now? I'm enjoying my old age in an open and honorable manner. Sit. The demon ancestor shook his head and smiled. He opened the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus. Where's brother? White-eyed Wolf frowned. You might like this more. The demon ancestor took out another pot of wine. It was not the black tortoise divine wine, nor was it some top-grade wine. It was just a pot of ordinary wine. However, the taste was lighter and had a hint of sweetness. White-eyed Wolf was stunned. He grabbed the wine pot and laughed, as expected of an old rival. You even know brother's hobby. The demon ancestor laughed. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Why did you think of looking for me? Qin Feiyang did not speak. He sized up the demon ancestor and the demon dragon. He really could not see through their cultivation. They were like two ordinary people. Obviously. They were deliberately hiding their cultivation. There's nothing to see. I am a low-stage dominator. The demon dragon is an early-stage dominator. We can't compare to you, Frenzy, and White-eyed Wolf. The demon ancestor smiled faintly. What? He is already a low-stage dominator? White-eyed Wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang was also surprised. Fire Lotus was even more stunned. They originally thought that the demon ancestor was at most an early-stage dominator. They never expected that he was already a low-stage dominator. He was really mysterious. Powerful indeed. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and shook his head. If not for the destruction law inheritance, his current cultivation would be the same as the demon ancestors. Of course. My lord is in existence on the same level as your ancestor. In terms of talent and comprehension, he is not inferior to you. The demon dragon smiled proudly. TSK, so what if he is a low-stage dominator? Brother can suppress him with a wave of my hand. White-eyed Wolf drank a mouthful of wine, his face full of disdain. You, the demon dragon immediately glared at White-eyed Wolf. Not convinced? White-eyed Wolf sneered. How would I dare? You are the only one in the black tortoise realm who has comprehended the three strongest laws. The demon dragon coldly snorted. You even know about this? White-eyed Wolf was surprised. Nonsense. Although we have left the devil's land for many years, it does not mean that we have not paid attention to the situation there. The demon dragon said. Then, are you envious of brother? White-eyed Wolf looked at him proudly. Dragon God's expression stiffened. He shook his head and said, I am not envious. What is there to be envious of? He did not comprehend it with his own efforts. Keep pretending. Keep pretending. White-eyed Wolf's face was full of ridicule. He was obviously envious, but he insisted on being stubborn and denying it. Hypocrite. Are you done yet? You came all the way here just to show off. Demon Dragon glared at White-eyed Wolf angrily. This damn wolf cub, why was he still like this? He was born with a face that deserved a beating. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang and Demon Ancestor looked at each other. They could not help but have a trace of helplessness on their faces. Fire Lotus had a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. She had known Demon Ancestor for a long time. It could be said that compared to the past Demon Ancestor, he had changed a lot. If she did not know what Demon Ancestor had done in the past, she would definitely think that he was a good person. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and 4 more figures appeared. These 4 people were Dong Xingyang, Mu Tianyang, Mu Qin, and Guosweki. When the 4 of them saw Qin Feiyang and the others, they could not help but be stunned. Immediately after, Gwasweki became nervous. At the same time, there was a cold light in her eyes. The destruction of the Gua family, the tragic death of her family, to her, was a pain that she would never forget. The man in front of her was the executioner who made her an orphan. However, Qin Feiyang did not pay attention to her. He only hurriedly glanced around and his gaze landed on Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, and Dong Xingyang. Long time no see. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. I didn't miss you at all. Mu Qing snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang laughed, it's best if you don't miss me, because I'm not interested in men. Mu Qing was slightly stunned. She looked rather speechless. This guy actually learned how to joke. Demon Ancestor looked at the three of them and asked with a smile, what are your cultivation levels now? You still don't know their cultivation levels? White-Eyed Wolf looked at Demon Ancestor suspiciously. I don't know. Although we are all in the Black Tortoise realm, we have not contacted each other all these years. Demon Ancestor shook his head. All right. White-Eyed Wolf was speechless. It was really like the old saying, if it's fate, it's hard to meet. If it's not, it's impossible to meet. Everyone was in the Black Tortoise realm and was so strong. If they wanted to find each other, it would be a matter of minutes. However, after so many years, they had not contacted each other even once. This way of getting along really made one want to laugh. It's all right. Lesser Dominator. Dong Xingyang sat by the stone table and smiled. Damn, you also broke through to Lesser Dominator? White-Eyed Wolf was stunned. We're all right too. One is a Lesser Dominator, one is an Initial Dominator, and one is a Half-Step Dominator. Mu Tianyang also sat by the side and smiled faintly. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. To be honest, he was a little envious. That was because these fellows could peacefully cultivate in the Black Tortoise realm, but he had to be busy all the time. If it wasn't for the fact that his tolerance level was high enough, he probably would have quit long ago. White-Eyed Wolf's heart was even more unbalanced. It was only a Lesser Dominator when it was working so hard outside, but these people were leisurely hiding in the Black Tortoise realm and had also cultivated to Lesser Dominator. Fortunately, there were no outsiders present. Otherwise, they would have called them a bunch of monsters. Qin Feiyang drank a mouthful of tea and looked at the group. This time, I called you all here because I have something to tell you. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, what is it? Previously, I heard that among the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm, there is also someone who has opened the eye of heaven. I really don't know if this is true, so I wanted to ask you all. Qin Feiyang said. Chapter 3453. What? The demon ancestor, Mu Tianyang, and Mu Qing's eyes were suddenly filled with shock. However, Dong Xingyang frowned slightly, as if something had appeared. That's impossible. Our 10 war souls are unique. How can there be a second one? After regaining her senses, Mu Qing was the first to speak, voicing the question in her heart. That's also the question I've been pondering. Could it be that all along, we have misunderstood the 10 war souls, and they are not unique? Qin Feiyang frowned. Did you see it with your own eyes? Mu Tianyang thought for a while and asked. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, but I feel that she has no need to lie to me. Who told you? Mu Tianyang asked. Qin Feiyang said, it's a princess of the dragons. A princess of the dragons. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other, lowered their heads, and pondered. After a while, the demon ancestor looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked, there are also dragons in the Sky Cloud realm? And it seems that their strength is not simple? If only it were simple, I wouldn't have to hide. Qin Feiyang sighed. The demon ancestor said, then tell us in detail about the dragons. I don't know much about the dragons. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then, he began to narrate the situation that he knew in detail. Everyone has a sovereign divine weapon. When they heard this, their expressions were incomparably astonished. They looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "You're not joking with us, right? Do you think I'm in the mood to joke with you now?" Qin Feiyang was helpless. They looked at each other again, their faces full of shock. A sovereign divine weapon could rule a continent in the Sky Cloud realm, and now the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm had so many sovereign divine weapons. How were the others supposed to live? No wonder Qin Feiyang had such a headache whenever he mentioned the dragons. If it were them, they would have done the same. This was an undefeatable monster. Mu Tianyang took a deep breath, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "So now, if the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm attack, the ice dragon won't attack?" "That's what it says." Qin Feiyang nodded. "I don't think we can take its words too seriously." Mu Tianyang thought for a while and shook his head. "I know. But we'd better pray that it doesn't interfere anymore. Otherwise, it'll be an even bigger headache." Qin Feiyang sighed. Just one dragon was enough to render him helpless. If the ice dragon were to join the fray as well, what was the point? Just surrender. Suddenly, Mu Qing looked at Dong Xingyang and asked suspiciously, "Old Dong, why aren't you saying anything? What are you thinking about?" Qin Feiyang and the others were slightly taken aback. They also looked at Dong Xingyang and finally discovered Dong Xingyang's abnormality. A trace of suspicion crept into their eyes. Dong Xingyang glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others, still lowering his head and remaining silent. "Do you know something?" White-Eyed Wolf asked. Dong Xingyang still didn't speak. "If you know something, hurry up and say it so that we can be mentally prepared." Qin Feiyang and the others also urged. Dong Xingyang's performance at the moment was obviously hesitating. It seemed that he wanted to say something, but there was some kind of concern and he didn't dare to say it. Sigh. After a long time, Dong Xingyang let out a long sigh, looked up at Qin Feiyang and the others, and said, "The 10 war souls are indeed not unique." "What?" Qin Feiyang and the others suddenly got up and looked at Dong Xingyang in surprise. Dong Xingyang looked at the group of people, shook his head, and sighed. He raised his hand and pressed down, saying, "Sit down and listen to me slowly." Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and returned to the stone bench. "In fact, I wasn't sure about this before. Because this is a secret that I accidentally learned when I was a guardian," Dong Xingyang said. Before Qin Feiyang, Dong Xingyang was the guardian of Great Qin's mainland. Qin Feiyang and the others knew about this. Legend has it that there are actually 2 people in the world who own the 10 war souls. In other words, not only your Eye of Heaven, but also my Eye of Destiny, Mu Qing's Eye of Heaven, Demon Ancestor's Eye of Despair, Mu Tianyang's Eye of Evil, Mermaid Princess's Eye of Life, Lin Yi's Eye of Oblivion, also, Lu Xingyang, Qin Badian, and Lu Jiajin's Eye of Reincarnation, Eye of Nihility, and Eye of Destruction. There are only 2 people in the world who own them. Dong Xingyang said. This, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This was too unexpected. Each war soul actually had 2 owners. You should have noticed it too. Before the sovereign realm, our war souls can be said to be invincible. But after stepping into the sovereign realm, our war souls are the same as other people's war souls. They are useless. What qualifications do such war souls have to be called the 10 strongest war souls in the world? Dong Xingyang said. Qin Feiyang and the others nodded one after another. They were all possessors of the 10 war souls, so they naturally felt the same way. Just like the Eye of Heaven. In the past, it could replicate everything. But now that they had entered the sovereign realm, the enemies they faced were all people who had activated the profound laws and heaven-defying divine arts. The Eye of Heaven could no longer be replicated, which meant it was useless. To be honest, it wasn't even 1/10,000th of the frenzied man's blood eye. The blood eye could petrify sovereign realm experts. There was also the white-eyed wolf's war soul. It could continuously deprive the power of laws and cultivation, and it could also merge with the power of laws. To be honest, the frenzied man and the white-eyed wolf's war souls were worthy of being called the strongest war souls. Dong Jingyang's eyes flashed as he looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Actually, the reason is here. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and the others were puzzled. Dong Jingyang said, it means that our war souls are not complete. Not complete? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. That's right. For example, if my eye of destiny was complete, would be able to see even further into the future. For example, Qin Feiyang, if your eye of heaven was complete, you would probably be able to replicate the profound laws. There's also Mu Qing's all-seeing eye. If her all-seeing eye was complete, she would probably be able to see the location of sovereign realm experts. Dong Jingyang said. What? Your all-seeing eye can't see sovereign realm experts now? Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Qing in surprise. Yes. I didn't know in the past, and I often peeped at you and the frenzied man. But when I entered the sovereign realm, I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. Mu Qing sighed. In that case, the 10 war souls have become useless after entering the sovereign realm. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Mu Qing's face was filled with helplessness. She couldn't help but feel upset when she thought about the war souls that didn't live up to their name. She then looked at Dong Jingyang and asked, how can I make them complete? Dong Jingyang lowered his head and pondered. He seemed to be hesitating. What's wrong with you? We're all in the same boat now. Is there any point in hiding it? Mu Qing raised her eyebrows. I'm not hiding it from you. I just don't know if the secret I learned is true or not. Dong Jingyang shook his head. Who cares if it's true or not? Tell us first so that we can consider it. Mu Qing said. All right. Dong Jingyang nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. He said in a deep voice, if you want it to be complete, you have to devour the other party's war soul and combine them. Devour the other party's war soul? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. That's right. For example, the two of us have both opened the Eye of Destiny. Then I have to devour your Eye of Destiny and combine the two Eyes of Destiny into one. Only then will it be complete. Only then will it be considered the true Eye of Destiny. Dong Jingyang explained. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This answer was simply unexpected. They had to kill the other party and combine their war souls to complete their war souls? If the Princess of the Dragons didn't lie to you, then this matter is probably true. Furthermore, it is said that when two people with the same war soul meet, they will reject each other and feel disgusted. They will feel as if they have met their fated enemy. However, I haven't met such a person until now. This is also the reason why I can't confirm it. After Dong Jingyang finished speaking, he looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and waited for Qin Feiyang and the others to express their views. Reject? Dislike? Fated enemy? Mu Tianyang frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang. He said, aren't you talking about me, Qin Badian, and Lu Jingyang? You call that rejecting and hating each other? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Everyone present knew that Mu Tianyang, the demon ancestor, Lu Jingyang, and Qin Badian had fallen out because they had their own beliefs and principles. In short, their beliefs were different and their goals were different. They were not on the same path. They were completely different from fated enemies. Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. What's wrong? Everyone present was shocked by Qin Feiyang and hurriedly asked. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. He said in a low voice, I really met such a person. Who? When did you meet him? Dong Jingyang was bewildered. He's also a prince of the dragons. I met him in the Een Demon Land. He should be the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. When I saw him, the first feeling I had was disgust. No matter how I suppressed it, this feeling of disgust couldn't be suppressed. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. At that time, I was still wondering why. It was obviously the first time we met, and there was no hatred between us. Why would I have such a feeling? Now that I hear you say this, could it be that the person that the Princess of the Dragons was talking about is him? Qin Feiyang looked at Dong Xingyang with a puzzled face. Dong Xingyang also lowered his head and pondered. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other with a look of surprise. So, what Dong Xingyang said was true. After an unknown period of time, Dong Xingyang raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. He asked, "Are you sure that when you saw him, it was rejection, disgust, and the feeling of an enemy?" "I'm sure." Qin Feiyang nodded. In order to increase his persuasion, he added, "Definitely, definitely." Dong Xingyang laughed on the spot. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The demon ancestor and the others also looked at him in confusion. Chapter 34-54. Shouldn't we laugh? Dong Xingyang looked at the group of people and asked. "No, what's so funny about this?" White-eyed Wolf looked at him in confusion. "What's wrong with him? Think about it. Qin Feiyang has already met this destined enemy, which proves that these things are real. Since it's real, then our fighting souls have a chance to evolve. Isn't this good news? If you ask me, we should toast and celebrate. Let's congratulate our fighting souls that are about to be reborn and become the strongest fighting souls in the world." Dong Xingyang chuckled. "Ah." Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. Hearing Dong Xingyang's words, they felt that there was a need to celebrate. Ahem. Fire Lotus coughed and looked at Dong Xingyang. "I don't want to ruin your good mood, but there's something I have to say. Even if what you said is true, that you can devour the other party's fighting souls and complete your fighting souls, you have to know that this is the sky cloud boundary. Yes. Not to mention the others, even that golden-clothed youth, as the prince of the Golden Dragon clan, is it so easy to deal with him? Moreover, since the Princess of the Dragons said so, she should also know about the matter of devouring. Maybe the other party is also looking for an opportunity to devour our fighting souls. So, we can't be happy too early." The demon ancestor shook his head. "What are you afraid of? Don't we have Qin Feiyang?" Dong Xingyang chuckled. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and frowned. "You don't want me to risk my life and you to enjoy the fruits of others' labor in the Black Tortoise boundary, right? Capable people do more work." Dong Xingyang smiled. "Get lost, solve your own problems." Qin Feiyang glared at him fiercely. After resting in the Black Tortoise boundary for so many years, hadn't he rested enough? "We don't have a Dominator divine weapon, nor do we have a divine art like Slaughter Domain. How do you expect us to solve this by ourselves?" Dong Xingyang felt helpless. "Stop. We're all adults. It's time for us to learn how to earn our own living. Besides, if you don't go out for a walk, how are you going to run into your enemies? They can't possibly deliver themselves to our doorstep. Moreover, you also said that only when two people with the same fighting soul meet each other, will they repel and hate each other. Therefore, even if I met your old enemy outside, I wouldn't know." Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. "That does make sense." Dong Xingyang pondered for a moment and nodded. "Nonsense." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. "However, no matter what, our goal is the same. That is to find our old enemies and devour their fighting souls. Therefore, we must work together sincerely in the future. We must not stab each other in the back." Dong Xingyang smiled as he looked at Qin Feiyang, Mu Qing, Mu Tianyang, and the devil ancestor. "That's not necessarily true. I might stab Qin Feiyang in the back if I'm in a bad mood one day." Mu Tianyang said expressionlessly. "Are you interested?" Dong Zhengyang shook his head. He then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Go and confirm it again. If there's someone among the dragons who has opened the eye of heaven, then we'll start to plan the hunt." "That's right. First, we have to confirm that we can devour the other party's fighting soul and evolve our own fighting soul." The devil ancestor nodded. "Therefore, we'll start with the prince of the Golden Dragon tribe." Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang smiled coldly. Qin Feiyang looked at the four of them and smiled. "All right, I'll go and check it out. In addition, you guys should prepare yourselves. I've found a better place for cultivation." "A better place for cultivation?" The four of them were stunned and quickly asked, "How good is it?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I don't know about the rest, but the time array there is 5,000 years in a day." The four of them looked at each other. A 5,000-year time array in a single day. There was no reason to refuse. They had to go. Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus again and said with a smile, "When you return to the Devil's Land, go and inform everyone." "Then who should I inform?" Fire Lotus asked. "Everyone in the Devil's Land and all the beasts have to go, including you. The rest are 6,000 shadow guards, Wang Changyuan, and the other 10 commanders. By the way, make arrangements for these 6,000 shadow guards and the remaining 8 commanders to open the gate of potential." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. "Open all of them?" Fire Lotus was surprised. "Yes. Since they are going to go to Big Brother's place to cultivate, they naturally have to go in their best state. This way, they can maximize their harvest. In short, this is a rare opportunity. Cherish it." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Okay. I will make the arrangements now." Fire Lotus nodded and immediately got up and left. What a straightforward woman. She doesn't drag her feet when doing things. Demon Ancestor shook his head and smiled. After all, she was once the palace master of Nine Heavens Palace. Qin Feiyang smiled. Mu Qing couldn't help but snort coldly, "Giving up Nine Heavens Palace and staying by your side every day to help you take care of everything, I really don't know where your charm comes from." "My charm? You don't understand." Qin Feiyang chuckled and got up, "Hurry up and prepare to return to the Devil's Land. 3 days later, I won't be late." After saying that, he left the black tortoise world with the white-eyed wolf. Shameless. Gwasweki finally couldn't help but speak. Her face was full of contempt. She was also under a lot of pressure. The former Qin Feiyang in her eyes was an insurmountable mountain, let alone the current Qin Feiyang. Therefore, when standing with Qin Feiyang, she didn't dare to speak. Mu Tianyang glanced at Gwasweki, got up, looked at Demon Ancestor and Dong Zhengyang, and said with a smile, "Since the opportunity has been sent to us, then we won't be polite with him. Let's return to the Devil's Land. Besides, after being silent for so many years, it's time for us to go out and show off." Demon Ancestor and Dong Zhengyang looked at each other and couldn't help but have a smile on their faces. At this moment, Sky Cloud Island. The space-time crack that led to hell was suspended above the mountain peak. Suddenly, rays of divine light emerged. Whoosh! Accompanied by a piercing sound, the little rabbit rushed out from the mountain below and stood on the opposite side of the space-time crack, frowning. Someone came to Sky Cloud Realm again? Not long after, a white figure walked out from the space-time crack. It was a woman. She was about 1.75 meters tall, with an exquisite figure, wearing a white plain dress, clean and neat, looking extremely simple. But the woman's appearance was shocking. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her facial features were beautiful. She could be described as a peerless beauty. The most important thing was her temperament. She was like a fairy who didn't eat the food of mortals. But between her eyebrows, there was always a trace of melancholy that couldn't be dispelled. A woman? The little rabbit looked at the woman in white in astonishment. At the same time, The woman in white glanced at the surrounding sea and murmured, "Is this the sky cloud realm?" Her eyes also seemed very melancholic. But in the melancholy, there was a trace of expectation. It seemed to be an expectation for someone. "Damn, do you think Uncle Rabbit is heir?" The little rabbit raised her eyebrows. The woman in white also finally retracted her gaze, looked at the little rabbit, and bowed, "Greetings, Senior." "Senior?" The little rabbit was stunned and smiled, "You little girl, you have a little eyesight. When other women see Uncle Rabbit, they keep rubbing up and saying that Uncle Rabbit is cute and annoying." The woman in white smiled gently and said, "Then, Senior, is this the sky cloud realm?" "Yes." The little rabbit nodded. The woman in white asked, "May I ask, Senior, have you seen a man named Qin Feiyang?" "Qin Feiyang?" The little rabbit was surprised. She actually knew Old Third. After pondering for a while, a sly look flashed in her eyes, and she said, "Uncle Rabbit has seen all the people from the lower realm. Is this what Qin Feiyang looks like?" The little rabbit waved its paw and condensed the shadow of Qin Feiyang. "Brother Feiyang," the woman in white suddenly had a trace of joy in her eyes, and she couldn't help but call him Brother Feiyang. "What the hell? Brother Feiyang?" The little rabbit was stunned. Such an intimate name, it seemed that their relationship wasn't ordinary. The woman in white came back to her senses and looked at the little rabbit, asking, "Can you tell me where he is now?" "Well." The little rabbit grinned and pointed to the sea below. The woman in white looked down at the sea below, her face full of suspicion. What did this mean? "He has been killed by Uncle Rabbit and thrown into the sea to feed the sea beasts. By the way, there is also a boy named Madman Mo," the little rabbit said. "What?" When the woman in white heard this, her eyes suddenly trembled, and her face immediately turned pale. As soon as these two boys came to the sky cloud realm, they were extremely arrogant. Uncle Rabbit couldn't stand it, so I slapped them to death. Before the little rabbit finished speaking, it felt a cold aura shrouding towards it. It saw the woman in white with a frosty face and indifference in her eyes. It was as if she had changed into a different person in an instant. "What? You still want to avenge them?" The little rabbit looked at the woman in white with disdain. "Even if I die, I won't hesitate." The woman in white spoke word by word. Her voice was sonorous and forceful, and it carried with it an indestructible will. Then, with a loud bang, the power of the heavenly laws surged out, and the space here instantly turned into nothingness. Law of nothingness? The little rabbit was slightly stunned, and a trace of shock appeared in its eyes. It looked at the woman in white's cultivation. She was only at the initial imperishable stage, but she had comprehended the law of nothingness. This talent was a bit amazing. The woman in white raised her arm and pointed her index finger at the little rabbit. An invisible power of nothingness burst out like a torrent, roaring towards the little rabbit. "Little girl, you are very irrational to attack in front of Uncle Rabbit." The corner of the little rabbit's mouth lifted, and it remained motionless, allowing the power of nothingness to blast towards it. Boom! Immediately, the little rabbit was drowned by the power of nothingness, but it was as if nothing had happened. Not a single hair on its body was lost. So powerful. The woman in white's pupils shrank. Even a little rabbit was so terrifying. What about the people of the sky cloud realm? Wouldn't they be even more terrifying? However, she did not retreat because of this. Her gaze was like a sharp blade, locking onto the little rabbit. Chapter 34:55. Boom! Suddenly, the white-clothed woman emitted a black force and an aura of death suddenly enveloped all directions. What? The little rabbit was shocked. It's actually the law of death again. The law of death, the law of nothingness, minor immortal realm, and already grasped two supreme laws. This little girl's talent is a bit terrifying. Boom! The law of nothingness reappeared. Coupled with the law of death, the two supreme laws carried a monstrous aura and rushed towards the little rabbit. The little rabbit's eyes flashed. In the face of the two supreme laws, it was completely indifferent. It looked at the white-clothed woman and asked, "Did you inherit this? Or did you comprehend it yourself?" "I comprehended it myself," the white-clothed woman said coldly. "Sure," the little rabbit muttered. With just a minor immortal realm cultivation base, it could comprehend two supreme laws by itself. This comprehension ability can be said to surpass all the young people in the sky cloud realm. Even Frenzy and Qin Feiyang can't compare. Of course. To comprehend the laws, comprehension ability is only a part. The most important part is luck and opportunity. Although the white-clothed woman's cultivation base is relatively weak, to be able to comprehend two supreme laws, she must be a person with great luck. Just as the little rabbit was pondering, the two supreme laws surged over. The white-clothed woman's face was full of expectation, hoping that these two supreme laws could seriously injure the little rabbit. She couldn't be blamed for having such a naive idea. After all, she just came from the lower realm and knew nothing about the situation in the sky cloud realm. She also didn't know the strength of the little rabbit. Under her expectant gaze, the two supreme laws drowned the little rabbit. But the little rabbit stood in the middle of the supreme laws. Its body was like a sovereign weapon, unable to cause any damage to it. How is this possible? The white-clothed woman was dumbfounded. Even after activating two supreme laws, it couldn't hurt the little rabbit at all? What kind of powerhouse is this? Suddenly, the little rabbit waved its paw, and the death and nothingness laws around its body immediately dissipated, leaving no trace. "If only I could comprehend the profound laws," the white-clothed woman murmured. "Profound laws?" The little rabbit was slightly stunned and said disdainfully, "Even if you comprehend the supreme profound, it's useless." "Supreme profound?" The white-robed woman was stunned. "For someone like you who came from the lower realm, you don't even know what the ultimate profound meaning is. What right do you have to clamor with Lord Rabbit?" The little rabbit said disdainfully. A monstrous divine might erupted, like a tidal wave, instantly enveloping the white-robed woman. In the depths of her heart, the threat of death enveloped her. He felt as if he wasn't facing a little rabbit, but an overlord of the world. "Brother Feiyang, I'm sorry. I don't even have the ability to avenge you," the white-clothed woman murmured as 2 drops of tears rolled down her face. The little rabbit's brows furrowed slightly as she asked suspiciously, "Just who are you to Qin Feiyang? What does that have to do with you?" The white-clothed woman's face turned frosty again. The little rabbit teased, "If you tell Uncle Rabbit the truth, Uncle Rabbit might give you a way out." "No need," the woman in white said coldly. "No need?" The little rabbit was slightly taken aback. She sized up the white-clothed woman and indeed didn't reveal any signs of imminent danger. She nodded and praised, "Not only is your comprehension good, but you also have a backbone. Uncle Rabbit likes you." The white-clothed woman's gaze became colder. "It's not that Uncle Rabbit looks down on you, but with your little strength, any random person in the sky cloud realm can kill you thousands of times, not to mention taking revenge on Uncle Rabbit. How about this? You follow Uncle Rabbit first, and Uncle Rabbit will teach you cultivation. When you become stronger, you can take revenge on Uncle Rabbit." The little rabbit grinned. "What?" The white-clothed woman was stunned. She actually wanted to teach her cultivation? Was this little rabbit sick? The little rabbit asked, "Don't you want to take revenge for Qin Feiyang?" "Yes." The white-clothed woman nodded. Still not nodding? "It's not that Uncle Rabbit is bragging, but in the sky cloud realm, other than Uncle Rabbit, no one can defeat Uncle Rabbit. Being invincible is so lonely. So, if you want to take revenge, you can only follow Uncle Rabbit to cultivate." The little rabbit drank a mouthful of Xuanwu divine wine and smiled proudly. The white-clothed woman looked at the little rabbit in silence, as if she wanted to see through what the little rabbit wanted to do. At the same time, Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf stood at the edge of a cliff, looking at the 9-Dragon Mountain range ahead. The White-Eyed Wolf frowned and said, "If we go now, wouldn't it be inappropriate? What if the other princes and princesses had already received the news and came to the Alliance capital? If they went to find the silver-haired woman now, it would be the same as walking into a trap. You are becoming more and more cautious. This doesn't suit your personality." Qin Feiyang heard this and looked at the White-Eyed Wolf with a trace of ridicule in his eyes. "I haven't lived long enough, and I don't want to die. If you want to court death, then go ahead. I won't stop you." The White-Eyed Wolf snorted coldly. It also wanted to swagger to the Alliance capital like before, but the current situation didn't allow it. If it wasn't careful, it would lose its life. Qin Feiyang smiled and lowered his head to ponder. Now that he didn't know the situation in the Alliance capital, he didn't dare to directly send a message to his master. What if the people of the dragons were right next to his master? However, the Alliance capital was sealed off by a barrier. It was almost impossible to sneak in silently. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. He finally had an idea. Incarnation. He was going to use all 3,000 incarnations to find the silver-haired woman. Even if this was a trap, even if the other princes and princesses came to the Alliance capital, it didn't matter. Because even if all 3,000 incarnations were killed, it wouldn't affect him at all. Shwa. With a thought, an incarnation appeared. Qin Feiyang looked at the incarnation and said with a smile, "You know what I'm thinking, right? We are originally one, so of course I know." The incarnation said. "Then go." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The incarnation nodded and used the space-time step to rush toward the Alliance capital. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He also brought the White-Eyed Wolf and disappeared into the mountains below. The Alliance capital. At this moment, everyone was anxious. They didn't understand why Qin Feiyang would fall out with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Everyone knew about the relationship between Qin Feiyang and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Firstly, he was the disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Secondly, he had saved the Alliance leader and the 2 divine pythons. Lastly, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was able to rule the Western mainland because of Qin Feiyang. It could be said that for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance to be where it was today, Qin Feiyang's contributions couldn't go unnoticed. From this, it could be seen how good Qin Feiyang was to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance in the past. But why did he seem like a different person after disappearing for a period of time? Could it be, during this period of time, did the Alliance leader and the others do anything treacherous to Qin Feiyang? Someone guessed. Bang! Suddenly, in the sky, a powerful aura descended. This aura, it's Qin Feiyang again. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly ran out to look at the sky. Qin Feiyang, what are you trying to do? 3 figures rushed out angrily. It was Xingde and his 2 brothers. In fact, they didn't know that this was just an incarnation. Your Rogue Cultivator Alliance didn't let me have a good time, so I won't let your Rogue Cultivator Alliance have a good day either. The incarnation said coldly. Destructive force surged out, accompanied by a deafening roar, and a gray giant beast appeared out of nowhere. This giant beast looked strange. Dragon head, phoenix tail, qilin body, bull horns on its head, fur like a lion, and the most peculiar thing was that on its back, there were 9 pairs of gray wings. It was hard to describe its appearance. But the destructive force emitted from its body was extremely terrifying. This is the 5th profound of the law of destruction, destructive giant beast. Xingde and his brother's eyes trembled. They didn't expect this kid to comprehend the law of destruction after entering the Een Devil land. Although they were happy for Qin Feiyang from the bottom of their hearts, they still had to continue acting. Don't be presumptuous here. Xingde roared. Presumptuous? The incarnation smiled coldly and said, I want to be presumptuous here for you to see. I want you to pay the price for angering me. As his voice fell, the destructive giant beast immediately charged downward. The enchantment set up by the Alliance Master appeared. The destructive giant beast slammed on the enchantment, but it didn't budge at all. After all, the Alliance Master's strength was much stronger than Qin Feiyang's. You can't even break the Alliance Master's enchantment. What right do you have to be arrogant here? Xing De and his brothers looked disdainful. The incarnation raised his eyebrows. But at this moment, the silver-haired woman appeared with the two old women. An inexplicable light flashed in the silver-haired woman's eyes. She looked at the incarnation and said, "You really don't know what's good for you." The incarnation looked at the silver-haired woman and then at the Alliance capital. It seemed that the other princes and princesses hadn't come to the Alliance capital yet. Otherwise, they would have appeared by now. "If you have the ability, come and kill me." The incarnation looked at the silver-haired woman and sneered. Then, he turned and flew away at lightning speed. Courting death. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the two old women in white. They were about to give chase when the silver-haired woman stopped them. She shook her head and said, "Don't chase. Be careful of traps. But he's too arrogant. He doesn't put us in his eyes at all." Their faces were gloomy. "He won't be arrogant for long." The silver-haired woman smiled faintly. She looked at the two and said, "I don't trust the people of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You two go and personally investigate the whereabouts of Zhuo Tiansheng and the others. That's not appropriate. We have to stay and protect you." The two hurriedly said. "It's okay. I'm not going out alone. There won't be any danger. Besides, isn't it the silver dragon Bao?" The silver-haired woman said. "All right then." The two looked at each other, nodded in agreement, and turned to leave. The silver-haired woman looked at the two's back. A light flashed in her eyes. Then, she flew down and disappeared into a courtyard. Time flew by. Night fell. The mountain in the night seemed very quiet. A white figure stood quietly under the night sky. There was no aura on his body, like a ghost. He was the incarnation that went to find the silver-haired woman during the day. At this moment, he was in the original Maple Leaf Valley. As for Qin Feiyang's original body and the white-eyed wolf, they were nowhere to be seen. Chapter 3456. Whoosh. Soon. Another figure silently appeared in the sky above the valley. It was the silver-haired woman. She stopped in the air above the valley and looked down. Soon, she saw the incarnation, and a smile appeared on her face. That was right. The incarnation had sent a message to the silver-haired woman when he went to the Alliance capital during the day. He had arranged to meet her here and only her. "Are you sure that your two followers didn't follow you?" When the silver-haired woman landed in front of the incarnation immediately asked. The silver-haired woman smiled and said, "What do you think? I'm not in the mood to joke with you." The incarnation's face was cold. "You're so boring." The silver-haired woman shook her head and said indifferently, "After you left, I sent them away. If you don't believe me, you can check with your divine telekinesis." The incarnation didn't hold back and released his divine telekinesis in all directions. Seeing this, the silver-haired woman felt helpless. Couldn't they trust each other more? After confirming that they didn't follow, the incarnation heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at the silver-haired woman and smiled. "You really dare to come alone? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you here? Do you dare? Besides, with the silver dragon Bao, can you kill me?" The silver-haired woman smiled mockingly. "Silver dragon Bao?" The incarnation raised his eyebrows. The silver-haired woman said, "It's my sovereign divine weapon. Its full name is the Silver Dragon God Bao." "What? Didn't I tell you to come alone? Besides, this sovereign divine weapon has its own consciousness. Aren't you afraid that it will betray you?" You have to be clear. If your clansmen knew that you came to see me in secret, what would they think? The incarnation sneered. Don't worry. Everyone in this world can betray me, but the silver dragon Biyao won't. The silver-haired woman smiled confidently and said, Tell me, why did you ask me to come here? Aren't you asking the obvious? The incarnation raised his eyebrows. I really don't know. You're the one who asked me, not the other way around. The silver-haired woman was helpless. The incarnation frowned and suppressed the anger in his heart. He said in a deep voice, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Tell me, who is the person who opened the eye of heaven for you dragons? So, it's because of that. The silver-haired woman nodded in realization. The incarnation was a little impatient and said angrily, How long are you going to play dumb? The silver-haired woman chuckled and nodded. All right, I'll be serious. But I also hope that you can show some sincerity. Let your true body come out. I'm not interested in negotiating with a doppelganger. The incarnation's pupils shrank. The silver-haired woman asked, That's strange. Why do I know that you aren't the main body? What did you say? I don't understand. The incarnation shook his head. Looks like you also know how to play dumb. The silver-haired woman chuckled and said, Since you don't want to talk, then forget it. Goodbye. After saying that, he turned around and left. Hee, at this moment. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf walked out of the darkness. The silver-haired woman stopped and turned around to look at the man and the wolf. A trace of mockery seemed to flash in her eyes. Qin Feiyang looked at the incarnation and smiled. Thank you for your hard work. The avatar smiled and then disappeared. You can still communicate with each other? Looking at Qin Feiyang and the incarnation, the silver-haired woman's eyes were full of surprise. I hope you can forgive me. After all, we are opponents. You can't trust us, and we can't trust you. However, you can actually see that he's not my true body. It really surprised me. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman, first politely apologized, then curiously smiled. There's nothing to be surprised about. There's a good saying that the world is big and full of strange things, so there's no shortage of divine arts or battle souls that can see through illusions. The silver-haired woman said. Divine arts, battle souls. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He suddenly thought that Dragon Sovereign and Dragon Princess also seemed to have this ability. Could it be that this woman's battle soul was the same as Dragon Sovereign and Dragon Princess's ability? Actually, you don't have to be so guarded against me. There's no need to let a doppelganger test me. Because if I really wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have waited until now. I would have already done it in the heavenly cloud sea. And I also know that the one in the heavenly cloud sea was not your true body. It should be one of your men in disguise, but I didn't say it out loud. This is enough to show my sincerity. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked and they heard this. They really didn't expect that even the second commander's disguise couldn't deceive this woman's eyes. Wait. She saw through the second commander's disguise. Would she think that we and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance are all acting? The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. That shouldn't be. After all, letting the second commander's disguise doesn't directly prove anything. Qin Feiyang secretly said. However, this woman was indeed a bit difficult to deal with. Not because of anything else, but because of her ability to see through falsehood and distinguish between truth and falsehood. Back then, when he dealt with the dragons and the princess of the dragons, it was because of this ability that he suffered losses repeatedly. So he was very afraid of this ability. I'm really curious. What were you doing in the heavenly cloud sea? Why did you let someone else replace you? Is there any point in doing so? The silver-haired woman was curious. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with our negotiation, right? Besides, aren't you the same? You told me this information in secret and came to meet me as promised. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The silver-haired woman was stunned and shook her head with a smile. Well, let's not waste time on these boring questions. My dragons have indeed opened the eye of heaven and you have seen it. Seen it? Qin Feiyang frowned and said in a deep voice, is it really the prince of the Golden Dragon clan? You already thought of it? The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, don't worry about this, why tell me this? What are your conditions? Straightforward. I only have one condition, and that is to kill him. A trace of killing intent flashed in the silver-haired woman's eyes. Kill him? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. They expected that the dragons were not very united, but they didn't expect that the struggle would be so fierce that this woman would unite with an enemy and use it to eliminate her own people. Why do you want to kill him? Do you have a grudge? The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and looked at the silver-haired woman and asked. The silver-haired woman smiled but didn't say anything. The white-eyed wolf frowned. It seemed that he didn't intend to say anything. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman and his eyes flickered. Suddenly, he smiled and said, sure, after all, killing him is also beneficial to me. Of course, you can devour his battle soul and complete your Eye of Heaven. At that time, with the power of the Eye of Heaven, you will be able to sweep through everything. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang said, you also know this, then it seems that the 10 battle souls aren't a secret among you dragons. Of course. Last time, my big brother went to find you to test your strength and see if he had a chance to take away your Eye of Heaven. You're quite strong. You actually killed his follower. That's also why I want to cooperate with you. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said, since it's a cooperation, then you can't be the only one who benefits. Tell me, what benefits can I get from you? Isn't it enough that you have his Eye of Heaven? The silver-haired woman asked. Do you think I'm stupid? The Eye of Heaven is my spoil of war. It has nothing to do with our cooperation. Even if we don't cooperate now, I will still find a chance to kill him and take away his Eye of Heaven. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. If that's the case, then there's no need for me to cooperate with you because you will kill him sooner or later anyway. The silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This woman really knew how to seize the opportunity. She made him a little speechless. It seemed that among these princes and princesses, the most worthy one was this woman in front of him. To be honest, although your ability is not bad, it will still be very difficult to kill him. I can provide you with information about him, and I can also provide you with a certain amount of help at a critical moment. In fact, this is a matter of mutual benefit. If you insist on getting benefits from me, then I can only say sorry. Besides, you have a sovereign divine weapon, a divine art like Slaughter Domain, and an independent world in your hands. Tell me, what better things can I give you? The silver-haired woman smiled and then said, as long as we have the same goal, it's fine. Don't be too greedy. That won't be of much benefit to you. Qin Feiyang was silent. The silver-haired woman didn't say anything else and quietly waited for Qin Feiyang's reply. After a long while, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, all right, let's cooperate. However, during this period of cooperation, you must promise me that you will not plot against me behind my back. Of course. Me coming to cooperate with you is equivalent to me giving you something to use against me. How would I dare to plot against you behind your back? If you fall out with me and expose this matter, then my fate may be even worse than yours in the future. I will never do something that doesn't benefit me. The silver-haired woman smiled and then raised her white jade-like hand and said, then I wish us a happy cooperation. Qin Feiyang glanced at the silver-haired woman's hand and smiled faintly. Forget it. All right. The silver-haired woman shook her head and smiled helplessly. Then she took out a divine sound transmission stone and said, then we have to establish a contract. Otherwise, when I have any information to give you, I won't be able to contact you. Little Qin Z, be careful. White-eyed wolf looked at the silver-haired woman's divine sound transmission stone and secretly said, I know. Qin Feiyang secretly replied. Looking at the silver-haired woman's divine sound transmission stone, he also hesitated. Chapter 3457. If it was someone else, he would definitely not hesitate to take out the divine sound transmission stone and establish a contract bridge. But this woman had the ability to peek into the void and distinguish between the real and the fake. What if she could also sense his location through the contract bridge? Then, wouldn't this woman be able to grasp his whereabouts at any time? But, if he didn't establish a contract bridge, it would indeed be difficult to contact in the future. And there was also a greater risk. Because he didn't establish a contract bridge, he would have to get someone to pass the message or communicate in advance to set a fixed place to meet. In this way, there were many possibilities. For example, if he got someone to pass the message, it would easily expose the people around him. Another example would be a fixed location. What if this woman asked him to meet and ambushed him in advance? Therefore, this matter had to be handled carefully. Aren't you being too cautious? I'm already like this, can't you trust me? The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang, who didn't move for a long time, her face full of helplessness. It's better to be safe than sorry. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and finally thought of the best way. He transmitted his voice, Fire Lotus, give me an unused divine sound transmission stone. Okay. Fire Lotus replied. When Qin Feiyang bought the divine sound transmission stone in the Demon Tower, he bought a total of 1,000 pieces, and the people and beasts in the Devil's Land added up to less than 100, so there were still a lot left. Soon, Qin Feiyang concealed it a little and took out the divine sound transmission stone, generously establishing a contract bridge with the silver-haired woman. The silver-haired woman's face also crawled with a smile, then put away the divine sound transmission stone, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'll give you the first information. The prince you want to find is indeed the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. He's the eldest among us princes and princesses, so we all call him Big Brother. What else? Qin Feiyang asked. At present, he is still rebuilding his body in the dragon nest, but it won't take long because the time array of our dragon nest is 5,000 years a day. When he rebuilds his body, he will definitely come out of the dragon nest to settle the score with you. The silver-haired woman said. What? Your dragon nest also has a 1-day, 5,000 years time array. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked. The silver-haired woman was slightly taken aback. She asked suspiciously, why would you say that? Could it be that you also have a time array that lasts 5,000 years in a day? The man and wolf didn't answer. This was because they naturally couldn't expose their weaknesses to their enemies. Although they were working together now, they would definitely fall out in the future. Looks like you guys aren't simple. The silver-haired woman looked at the man and wolf meaningfully and continued, this big brother of mine is ruthless and vengeful. When he comes out of the dragon's nest, he will definitely bring some experts with him. He might also let these people hide in spatial divine items, so you'd better be mentally prepared. Will you bring a sovereign weapon? White-eyed wolf asked. Do you still need to ask? You have 2 sovereign-level divine weapons. If he doesn't use his sovereign-level divine weapon, how is he going to fight you? The silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang said, then can you tell us about your dragon nest's background? What do you think? The silver-haired woman asked with a hint of mockery in her eyes. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly. All right, pretend I didn't ask. But I have a question that I believe won't make things too difficult for you. What question? The silver-haired woman was suspicious. Qin Feiyang asked, there's a fire dragon in the inner region. What's its relationship with you dragons? Fire dragon? The silver-haired woman was stunned. After pondering for a while, she said, you mean the fire dragon that came from the lower world? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. It has nothing to do with us dragons. It's also because of the dragon god that we dragons let it stay in the inner region. Speaking of which, you should know it better than us. After all, I heard that you guys are old rivals. The silver-haired woman smiled. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He looked at the silver-haired woman and said, "Since it has nothing to do with you dragons and we're in a cooperative relationship now, why don't you do me a small favor and find a chance to trick it out?" "No problem." The silver-haired woman nodded. "Straightforward. All right then, inform me immediately if there's any information." Qin Feiyang admired this woman. She had wisdom, courage, and means. He believed that their future cooperation wouldn't be too tiring. "All right." The silver-haired woman nodded again. Qin Feiyang turned to the white-eyed wolf and said, "Let's go." The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and a space-time transmission channel appeared. Qin Feiyang was about to enter when he suddenly stopped. He turned to look at the silver-haired woman and said, "There's one more thing. Other than the Eye of Heaven, is there anyone else in your dragon clan who has activated the other 9 great battle souls?" "Why are you asking about this?" The silver-haired woman was stunned and then said, "Could it be that there are other people around you who have also opened the 9 strongest war spirits?" "That's none of your business," Qin Feiyang said. "I'll think about whether I should tell you about this after you kill my big brother." The silver-haired woman smiled. "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded and then walked into the space-time transmission channel with the white-eyed wolf without looking back. "I can't see through him, I really can't see through him." The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang's disappearing figure and muttered to herself. When the space-time transmission channel disappeared, a hoarse voice suddenly sounded in the silver-haired woman's body. "There's someone you can't see through? My war spirit isn't omnipotent. Although I can see through falsehood, I can't see through a person's heart." The silver-haired woman smiled bitterly. "Haha." The hoarse voice laughed and then was silent for a while before asking, "Do you really want to do this?" The silver-haired woman was stunned and immediately lowered her head. She was silent, but there was a shocking cold light in her eyes. "It seems that you still haven't walked out of the shadow of that incident." The hoarse voice sighed. "I want to, but I can't. I can't get over the hurdle in my heart. A blood debt must be repaid with blood." The silver-haired woman clenched her hands and said with a bone-piercing chill. The hoarse voice fell silent. After a long time. "No matter what you do, I'll support you. However, you have to know your limits. Qin Feiyang is smarter than we thought. Don't be used by him in the end." The hoarse voice warned. "I know." The silver-haired woman nodded and then released her hands. She laughed and said, "It's not that easy to use me, is it?" "You little girl." The hoarse voice could not help but laugh and then fell silent. The Western mainland. Somewhere on the edge. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared out of thin air. The white-eyed wolf looked at the divine sound transmission stone in Qin Feiyang's hand and asked, "This doesn't seem to be your divine sound transmission stone?" "Of course not. This is a new one. I asked the fire lotus to give it to me." Qin Feiyang looked down at the divine sound transmission stone and said with a smile. "Huh? Is there any difference?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. "Of course there is." Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Let's go to the heavenly cloud sea." "Where is Little Rabbit?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. "No, anywhere is fine." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Okay." The white-eyed wolf opened another space-time transmission channel. Soon. The two arrived above a sea area, and this was the place where the white-eyed wolf and the others were fighting with the dragons. Qin Feiyang glanced at the sea area and released his divine will. After a while, he sensed the aura of a sea beast nearby. Swish. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang took a step forward and landed above the sea area. With a point of his finger, a wisp of divine power appeared and blasted into the sea area. Roar! Accompanied by a furious roar, a sea lion that was over 300 meters in size roared out of the water with a monstrous aura, causing huge waves to surge up into the sky. Brother, calm down. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. The sea lion was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, and said in surprise, "It's you guys? You know us?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Qin Feiyang, who doesn't know? The sea lion smiled. Am I so famous? Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Of course. But, what are you doing here in my territory? The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. I want to ask you for a favor. Qin Feiyang smiled. I see. The sea lion nodded and pondered for a while, then said, Then tell me, as long as I can help, I will try my best to help. Qin Feiyang handed the divine sound transmission stone to the sea lion. What do you mean? The sea lion looked at the divine sound transmission stone and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Help me keep this divine sound transmission stone safe. If someone sends a message to this divine sound transmission stone in the future, inform me immediately. Qin Feiyang said. Why do you want me to keep it safe for you? The sea lion was puzzled. The white-eyed wolf said discontentedly, Just keep it safe for now. Do you know that little rabbit on Sky Cloud Island? That's little Qin Zi's sworn brother. Can't you give him some face? You and Master Rabbit are sworn brothers? The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Really? It will be sworn brothers with you humans? The sea lion was a little skeptical. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, If you don't believe me, you can ask. Forget it, I can't afford to offend it. The sea lion shook his head quickly, then took the divine sound transmission stone and said, Okay, I'll keep it safe for you, but you have to make it clear first. Don't cause me trouble. Don't worry. Besides, with the beast god protecting you, what are you afraid of? Qin Feiyang laughed. That's true. Just today, weren't you fighting with a group of people nearby? In the end, those people came to catch me and asked me to tell them the coordinates of White Crane Island. There was a young man who wanted to kill me. In the end, he was punished by the divine beast and his body was shattered on the spot. What a mess. The sea lion sneered. What? The sea beast they caught at that time was you? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. This was too much fate. Chapter 3458. That's right. The sea lion nodded. Fate, fate. The white-eyed wolf laughed. It was such a coincidence that they met the same sea beast. The sea lion also laughed. No matter what, Qin Feiyang was someone worth currying favor with. Qin Feiyang glanced at the white-eyed wolf and said, Since fate has brought us together, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and take out the divine wine and thank him. Yes, yes, yes. The white-eyed wolf nodded repeatedly and took out 10 jars of black tortoise divine wine, placing them in front of the sea lion. Divine wine? The sea lion was stunned for a moment and looked at the 10 jars with suspicion. This is a genuine divine wine. The white-eyed wolf said. Is that so? The sea lion suspiciously opened a wine jar, and a dragon's shadow made of alcohol immediately rushed out of the wine jar. It's really a divine wine? The sea lion was stunned for a moment, then he hugged the jar in joy and smelled it with an intoxicated expression. Seems like we're kindred spirits. The white-eyed wolf smiled. The sea lion laughed heartily. Looking at the man and the wolf, he said solemnly, From now on, your business is my business. Don't worry, from now on, I will protect this divine sound transmission stone. Thank you very much. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. You're welcome. The sea lion swung its claws and swallowed its saliva. Just as it was about to taste the black tortoise divine brew, it suddenly thought of something. It looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and said, I can't recover your divine sound transmission stone, so how will I know who is looking for you? You don't have to worry about that. There's only one contract bridge in this divine sound transmission stone, so you just need to inform me and I'll know who's looking for you. Qin Feiyang said. I see. The sea lion nodded and smiled. All right, let's establish a contract bridge so I can inform you when the time comes. You also have a divine sound transmission stone. The white-eyed wolf looked at the sea lion in surprise. What do you mean by that? Am I not worthy of the legend stone? The sea lion looked at the white-eyed wolf with dissatisfaction. No, no. The white-eyed wolf waved its paws and laughed. I just felt a little surprised. I thought that sea beasts don't need the rumor stone. You're also a vicious beast, so why do you need it? The sea lion asked. Ugh. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He forced a smile and said, I'm sorry. I've offended you. No. We're just discussing a problem. There's nothing offensive about it. The sea lion shook its head. After Qin Feiyang and the sea lion established a contract bridge, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, all right then, we'll take our leave first. Take your time to drink. All right. The sea lion nodded. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and said, let's go to Sky Cloud Island. The white-eyed wolf waved its paws and opened a space-time transmission channel. Then, a man and a wolf quickly walked in. They're actually going to the Sky Cloud realm. It seems that their relationship with Uncle Rabbit isn't simple. But what does this have to do with me? The sea lion muttered, then smiled, hugged the wine jar, and licked it slightly. So refreshing. It shuddered and raised its head, pouring the jar of black tortoise divine brew into its mouth. Sky Cloud Island. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf arrived at the top of the mountain. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and asked, what do you mean by giving it the divine sound transmission stone? It's very simple. Let it be a transit station. In this way, even if the Princess of the Dragons can accurately locate our position through the divine sound transmission stone, she will only be able to locate the sea lion. And we can escape from her prying eyes. Qin Feiyang smiled. So it's like this. Then, aren't you harming the sea lion? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Harming? Didn't I just say that the beast god is overseeing the Sky Cloud Sea? Who dares to mess around here? So, it's absolutely safe. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. That's true. The white-eyed wolf nodded, glanced at Qin Feiyang, and said contemptuously, you're really getting more and more treacherous. How can you say that? Is this treacherous? It's obviously smart. Qin Feiyang smiled narcissistically. It was rare for him to be so narcissistic. Shameless. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes, glanced at the top of the mountain, and asked suspiciously, where's the little rabbit? Why don't I see it? Didn't it say that it wanted to make some arrangements? Let's not disturb it. Let's go to the Black Tortoise world and see how the Fire Lotus is preparing. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he was ready to go to the Black Tortoise world, but suddenly glanced around and frowned slightly. What's wrong? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Did you notice that there are some traces of battle here? Qin Feiyang looked at the ground and asked suspiciously. Battle? The white-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback, speechless. Are you stupid? Why don't you think about who came here to make trouble? It should be that little rabbit alone. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. In the entire Sky Cloud realm, no one dared to make trouble on Sky Cloud Island. Outside. 3 days passed. And in the Black Tortoise world, it has been 3,000 years. Morning. Above the Devil's Land. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood together. On the opposite side, there were thousands of people. For example, the Fire Lotus, Mermaid Princess, Tan Tai Li, Qin Rushwang, Zhao Tai Lai, Willow Tree, Chui Li, Dan Wangkai, Mu Tianyang, and so on. There were also Xia Yuan and the other 64 divine generals, Blood Qilin, Fire Dragon, White Jade Qilin, Black Dragon, Fire Lotus, Lei Bao, He Bao, and so on. Even Yi Tian, Zhua Tiansheng, Long Tianyu, Wang Xiaojie, Qin Chen, Zhua Xiaocheng, and Zhua Xiaoxian were there. In short, 6,000 shadow guards, Wang Changyuan and the other 10 commanders, Pei Tianhong, and everyone in the Devil's Land, all the beasts were there at this moment, including Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. You all opened the door of potential. Qin Feiyang glanced at the group of people and said with a smile. Thank you, young master. The 6,000 shadow guards and the other 8 commanders nodded and bowed to thank him. Their faces were full of gratitude. They never thought that happiness would come so quickly. Originally, they were still pondering how to make Qin Feiyang satisfied with their performance so that they could open the door to their potential. However, all of a sudden, Huo Lian descended on the central state and said that she would help them open the door to their potential. For them, it was like a dream. Qin Feiyang asked, "The Fire Lotus should have told you about the situation, right?" Everyone nodded. "This is an opportunity that the White-Eyed Wolf and I fought hard to get for you. You must cherish it. I hope that the next time you appear, you will become a hero who can dominate a region." Qin Feiyang said. "We will not let you down, young master." The 6,000 shadow guards roared in unison with a determined light in their eyes. "Don't let me down. Don't let yourselves down. Humans have to work hard to move forward. To put it simply, if you don't make progress and just wait for death, what's the difference between you and a salted fish? I believe that none of you are willing to be a salted fish. In short, since you have appeared in this world, you must live your life vigorously. Our goal is not to rule the sky cloud realm, nor to defeat the dragons, but to break the rules of this world, transcend the laws of heaven and earth, and come to the outer world. Our fate must be controlled by ourselves. No one else is qualified." Qin Feiyang shouted. His words made everyone's spirits rise and their blood boil. He really knows how to stir up people's hearts. Mu Tianyang pursed his lips. "But you can't deny that his goal is great. And it is also my goal." Dong Zhengyang whispered. Mu Tianyang glanced at Dong Zhengyang and murmured, "That is to fight the heavens, the earth, and the god of creation. Are you afraid?" Dong Zhengyang asked. "Don't provoke me. I'm not interested in this. My only goal is to kill all of you, my fated enemies." Mu Tianyang coldly snorted. "We're your fated enemies?" Dong Zhengyang was speechless. He wanted to say, "Brother, is your brain rusty? You still haven't figured out the situation?" But after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. Everyone has their own ambitions. There was no need to force them. In that case, let's go out. Qin Feiyang smiled and waved his hand, leading a group of people to appear in the sky above Sky Cloud Island. Many of them had never been to Sky Cloud Island in person, so they looked at Sky Cloud Island, especially the spacetime crack leading to the lower realm, with a look of curiosity. "Senior brother, this is an opportunity to surpass me. Don't be lazy." Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and smiled. "Do I need you to tell me that?" Madman coldly snorted. Hearing this, the mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Feiyang, aren't you going to cultivate here?" "Me?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. After pondering for a while, he said, "We'll see. Maybe I'll go to the other 3 forbidden areas." "Just you alone?" "I don't agree. It's too dangerous." The mermaid princess immediately said. Qin Feiyang held the mermaid princess's hand, his face full of love, and said with a smile, "I'll be careful. You don't have to worry about me." Follow Big Brother and cultivate well. Maybe I'll need you to save me. But, the mermaid princess frowned. Enough. It's not like you don't know his bad temper. Will he change his mind? Qin Rushwang glanced at Qin Feiyang and then looked at the mermaid princess. Sigh. The mermaid princess sighed and fell silent. Pei Tianhong glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others. His eyes flashed slightly as he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Young master, since you're going to the other 3 forbidden areas, let me and Wang Changyuan follow you." That's right. Old Pei and I have already comprehended 2 ultimates. We don't need to follow that little rabbit to cultivate. Hearing this, Wang Changyuan immediately expressed his opinion. Are you satisfied already? You have to know that the followers of the princesses and princes have comprehended 2 ultimates. Not to mention the dragon's elders, patriarchs, and even Lord Dragon King. Their strength has definitely reached the peak of perfection. Thus, you all still need to work hard. Qin Feiyang said. But if you go alone, we won't be at ease. Pei Tianhong frowned. Thank you for your concern. But after being with me for so long, don't you know me? I won't die so easily. Qin Feiyang smiled. This, Pei Tianhong looked at Wang Changyuan. Wang Changyuan shrugged, indicating that there was nothing he could do. Pei Tianhong smiled bitterly, looked at Qin Feiyang, and nodded. All right, we'll listen to you. Qin Feiyang smiled, then looked at them one by one as if he wanted to imprint their faces in his heart. Chapter 3459. Whoosh. With a piercing sound, the little rabbit appeared from the mountain below and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. Big brother, it's not much, right? Qin Feiyang chuckled. The little rabbit turned its head and the corner of its mouth twitched. This is not much. We have an agreement. Qin Feiyang was afraid that the little rabbit would change its mind and make everyone happy for nothing. Don't worry. Uncle Rabbit is a man of his word. The little rabbit waved its paw impatiently. Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief and then looked at everyone with a smile. Why aren't you thanking Uncle Rabbit? Thank you, Uncle Rabbit. Everyone's face was full of smiles. Don't give me that. The little rabbit pursed its lips and then looked at Qin Feiyang with a mischievous smile. But to be honest, I have prepared a surprise for you. Surprise? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Madman and the others were also curious. This little rabbit was so powerful. The surprise it had prepared would definitely be extraordinary as well. But I can't tell you now. The little rabbit chuckled again. Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned. Since it couldn't be said now, why did it say it? Deliberately whetting his appetite? Uncle Rabbit is deliberately whetting your appetite. You can slowly think about it, but Uncle Rabbit believes that you will never be able to figure it out. The little rabbit said proudly. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. With a wave of his hand, jars of black tortoise divine brew appeared in front of the little rabbit. There were at least 5 to 6 jars, piled up like a mountain in front of the little rabbit. So much? The little rabbit was stunned for a moment, then its eyes lit up and saliva flowed out. Is it a lot? I thought it was too little. If he had known, he would have taken out less. After all, those brewers had worked hard to brew this black tortoise divine brew. Not much, not much. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. The little rabbit was stunned and quickly shook its head. Then, with a wave of its paw, the black tortoise divine brew in front of it disappeared without a trace. Its appearance was a little funny. Qin Feiyang was speechless and asked, "Then where are we going to cultivate?" You? When the little rabbit heard this, she swept her eyes over the group of people. She shook her head and said, "They can all go, but you cannot." I can't go? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked in unison, "Why?" Madman and the others also looked at Little Rabbit suspiciously. "If you go, then the surprise I prepared for you will be gone. Besides, aren't you going to the other 3 forbidden areas? How can Uncle Rabbit be so shameless as to waste your precious time? The little rabbit bared its teeth. You heard everything? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course. In the heaven clouds sea, there's nothing that Lord Rabbit doesn't know. The little rabbit smiled proudly, and then urged, since you want to go to the other 3 forbidden areas, then hurry up and get on your way. Then I won't stay here to cultivate. I'll go take a look. Qin Feiyang said. He was really curious about this so-called surprise. No. Bunny shook her head. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He originally didn't intend to stay here to cultivate. He was purely curious about what kind of cultivation place Bunny had arranged for everyone. But now, he wasn't even allowed to take a look. This was too much. Bunny threatened, are you going or not? If not, Uncle Rabbit will go back on his word. No, I'll go right away. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. What was this? Then, he glanced at the white-eyed wolf and transmitted his voice, you pretended to cultivate with it, what kind of surprise is it? No problem. The white-eyed wolf smiled sinisterly. This kid was still crafty. But at this time, Bunny seemed to have seen through the trick of the man and wolf and said indifferently, Wolf Cub, open the space-time transmission channel and get lost together. The man and wolf's expression froze. Do you need Uncle Rabbit to personally send you off? Bunny's eyes suddenly became unfriendly. No need. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf hurriedly shook their heads. What a joke. If it tricked them like last time and directly sent them to the resting place of the dragons, wouldn't that be a disaster? It was better to be tactful and obediently get lost. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and the others and said with a smile, then you guys take care. You be careful too. Madman reminded. Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf looked at Bunny angrily and opened a space-time transmission channel. Lord Ruler, wait. Suddenly, Pai Lupi and Theta Wang ran in front of Qin Feiyang and frowned. We thought about it, we can't stay here to cultivate. Why? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Because Miss Fire Lotus, Black Panther, and the others have to stay here. If we also stay here, then who will care about the Black Tortoise world? Pai Lupi said. That's right. If no one cares about the Black Tortoise world, it will definitely be chaotic. Besides, the 2 of us don't come out to fight, and our talents aren't that good, there's no need to waste resources here. Theta Wang also said. Just because of this? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The 2 of them nodded. Don't worry, the Black Tortoise world has already stabilized. Even if you guys aren't here, there won't be chaos like you imagined. As for fighting, talent, I never thought about it that way. Moreover, the reason why I asked you guys to come here to cultivate is not for you to follow me out to fight in the future, but to let you guys have a certain degree of self-protection in times of danger. Similarly, when we have no time to split ourselves, you can also help us protect the creatures of the Black Tortoise world. After all, what if one day our enemies kill their way into the Black Tortoise world? Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The 2 of them looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. Just stay here with peace of mind. In the future, the Black Tortoise world will definitely need you guys to manage it. Work hard now is also building a foundation for the future. Qin Feiyang smiled. All right. Thank you, Lord Ruler, for your kindness. We will definitely work hard. The 2 of them bowed and said. Qin Feiyang nodded and patted their shoulders. Under everyone's gazes, he brought the white-eyed wolf and entered the space-time portal without looking back. You guys follow Lord Rabbit. But there's one thing you have to understand. Since you're going to cultivate with Lord Rabbit, you have to listen to Lord Rabbit unconditionally. Otherwise, if Lord Rabbit gets angry, even if Qin Feiyang and the little lunatic intercede for you guys, It's useless. Let's go. As soon as the little rabbit finished speaking, the group of people immediately followed the little rabbit in a grandiose manner and swept down towards the mountains below. This is too much. I think that surprise is just an excuse. In reality, it's afraid that we'll covet its divine item. In the sky above a certain mountain, the white-eyed wolf roared angrily. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "How do you know there's a divine item?" "It's obvious. With its strength, how could it not have a few powerful divine items?" The white-eyed wolf said. "Enough. Anyway, we don't plan to stay. What's there to be angry about? What should we do? We should be grateful. I hope that everyone can be reborn again at its place." Qin Feiyang smiled. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips and asked, "Then we'll go to the other 3 forbidden areas now?" "There's no hurry. Let's go back to the Black Tortoise realm first and prepare some pills. If the other 3 forbidden areas also have restrictions, if we don't prepare in advance, we won't be able to move an inch. Also, I want to know where the princesses and princes of the dragons are currently resting. Let's see if there's a chance to kill 1 or 2. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. "This is a good idea. Let's kill their arrogance first. This brother has the space-time law, so it's more convenient for me to come and go. I'll think of a way to investigate." The white-eyed wolf's eyes also flashed with cold light. "Then you be careful." Qin Feiyang nodded. What a joke. If I can't even handle such a small matter, then wouldn't this brother's dignified reputation be undeserved? After the white-eyed wolf finished speaking, he began to use the space-time law and quickly left. Dignified reputation? Undeserved reputation? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He reckoned that the word shameless was used to describe this guy. Swish. Immediately after, he also disappeared. The Alliance capital. You're back. In a quiet courtyard, the silver-haired woman looked at the 2 white-haired old women who walked in and said with a smile. "N." The 2 nodded. "How's the investigation?" The silver-haired woman asked. "Whether it's Shu Tianxing and the other 2 or Zhao Shaojin, there's no clue. It's as if they've disappeared from the world." The 2 shook their heads. "Then there's no need to look." The silver-haired woman waved her hand. "No need to look." The 2 were stunned. If there's no accident, these people must have met up with Qin Feiyang. So no matter how hard we try, it's impossible to find them. The silver-haired woman shook her head. This guy was really amazing. No matter what he did it flawlessly. It seemed that he didn't find the wrong person. He was someone who could be used. Hearing this, the 2 old women couldn't help but have a trace of anger on their faces. They had been busy for a few days, but it turned out that they had been busy for nothing. What about my brothers and sisters? The silver-haired woman pondered for a while and asked again. We haven't found their whereabouts. They should be hiding and plotting in the dark. The 2 said. It seems that they've finally learned to be smart. If they're all out in the open, it's impossible to deal with Qin Feiyang and the others. So, we must hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to act. The silver-haired woman chuckled. Then do we need to hide? The 2 asked. We don't need to. Just wait and watch the show. As for next, you 2 go to the eastern continent and pay attention to my brother's movements. As soon as he leaves the Demon land and enters the eastern continent, inform me immediately. The silver-haired woman was quite calm when she said this, but the 2 old women could faintly feel a trace of killing intent. Your Highness, you're not thinking of taking this opportunity to. The 2 looked at the silver-haired woman in surprise. But before they could finish speaking, the silver-haired woman suddenly looked at the 2 of them, and an invisible and terrifying pressure was emitted from her. The 2 of them immediately stopped talking and lowered their heads, seeming to carry a trace of fear. The silver-haired woman stared at the 2 of them. At this moment, it felt as if something in the silver-haired woman's body was awakening, giving people a chilling feeling of horror. Chapter 3460. The atmosphere in the room was very solemn. The two white-haired old women were clearly perfect sovereigns who had mastered two types of profound meanings, but at this moment, their backs were quietly breaking out in cold sweat. It could be seen. They were really nervous now. But suddenly, the silver-haired woman smiled wittily and returned to her harmless appearance. She smiled and said, "You two have watched me grow up, and I also treat you as family, so you don't have to be so nervous when facing me. Your Highness is too kind." The two hurriedly smiled apologetically. "Okay. In the future, there are some things that you know in your heart, don't say it out loud. Let's go to the Eastern continent." The silver-haired woman smiled. "Okay." The two nodded, opened the space-time transmission channel, and turned to leave. The silver-haired woman looked at the two, picked up the teacup, put it at the corner of her mouth, and gently sipped it. A faint blood light could be seen in her clear eyes. Black Tortoise Realm. Qin Feiyang stood above the ancient castle, looking at the current Devil's Land, and for a moment, he was somewhat unable to adapt. In the past, although everyone was busy cultivating and was relatively calm, at least he felt a sense of comfort in his heart that everyone was by his side and not alone. But now, as he scanned the empty Devil's Land and felt the deathly stillness, a sense of loneliness arose in his heart. Sigh. After a long time, Qin Feiyang sighed and entered the ancient castle's cultivation room. Everything here was the same as before. Moreover, whether it was the floor or the desk, there was not a speck of dust. Qin Feiyang knew that either Fire Lotus helped to clean it, or Pai Lupi helped to clean it. Although Fire Lotus and the others seemed to have not done anything these years, in fact, they had been taking care of him behind his back. It was just that these contributions were very difficult to see, and even if they saw it, no one would care. But in fact, these were the most important. This was because only by resolving the worries at the back could they concentrate fully and boldly fight outside without worry. Slowly get used to it. Qin Feiyang shook his head, walked to the altar, and was slightly stunned. On the altar, there were two pill furnaces. One of them was the former 7th grade divine furnace, the Heaven Flame Divine Furnace. As for the other pill furnace, he had never seen it before. Its size and shape were similar to the Heaven Flame Divine Cauldron. The only difference was the pattern on it. The totem of a giant flaming bird was engraved on the furnace. Every line was clear and full of charm. This was the divine beast Vermilion Bird. Qin Feiyang cut his finger and dripped a drop of blood to claim ownership. A stream of information immediately surged into his mind. The Divine Vermilion Bird Cauldron, a 10th grade divine grade pill furnace. This, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Since when did he have a 10th grade divine grade pill furnace? After thinking about it carefully, he remembered. This should be the pill furnace that Pei Tianhong mentioned back then. When they first entered the Een Devil Land, Pei Tianhong said that the Blood Hall not only had a lot of grade 9 and grade 9 divine pill fires and pill furnaces, but also a grade 10 divine pill fire and pill furnace. It seemed that Pei Tianhong was talking about this Vermilion Bird Cauldron. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked at the nether devil flame hovering above and couldn't help but be stunned. The aura of the nether devil flame had also become much stronger. After careful analysis, he found that it had been upgraded to the 10th grade divine grade. Not bad. A smile crept onto Qin Feiyang's face. Although he wasn't refining pills now, the Fire Lotus didn't forget him. It helped him upgrade the level of the nether devil flame and left him a pill furnace. I haven't refined pills for a long time, so I should be rusty. Qin Feiyang muttered and was about to refine pills, but suddenly looked at the iron box containing the 6-word divine formula and the pill scripture. There was a Qinkuan bag there. Looking at the Qinkuan bag suspiciously, Qin Feiyang picked it up and used his divine sense to look inside. He saw that there was a bag of pills inside. They were basically life-saving pills like the Divine Life Pill, the Divine Sun Pill, and the Yuan Hai Divine Pill. Suddenly, at the side, he saw a very neatly folded piece of paper. Qin Feiyang picked up the small note and opened it. Young master, as long as you are lazy, I have refined pills for you in advance. Take them, don't be polite. Looking at this line of words, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. This was Dan Wuxia's handwriting. It had to be said that this guy was really too considerate. Before leaving, he didn't forget to refine so many pills for him. However, was it because he was lazy that he didn't like to refine pills? It was clearly because he found it troublesome, okay? Thank you. Qin Feiyang muttered, raising his head to look at the vermilion bird cauldron and the nether devil flame, and laughed. It seems that in the future, I won't be able to use you guys. Don't complain, don't blame me, blame Dan Wuxia for being too outstanding. The vermilion bird cauldron trembled. The nether devil flame also jumped. It was as if it was looking down on Qin Feiyang. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed, turned around and walked out of the cultivation room, glanced at the hall of the castle, and then walked out of the castle in large strides. He then closed his eyes, and his perception quickly spread throughout the entire Black Tortoise realm. In the sea of blood, many creatures were donating blood. To be exact, everyone had never stopped. And the order of the major regions was still the same as before. Therefore, even if Pai Lupi, Theta Wang, and He Bao were not here, there would not be any chaos in the Black Tortoise realm. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's expression froze for a moment, then lowered his head and muttered to himself for a moment. With a thought, two figures appeared in front of him. A middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. When the two of them appeared in the Devil's Land, they were also a little stunned, but when they saw Qin Feiyang standing opposite them, their expressions suddenly changed, and their eyes were filled with fear. Are you surprised? I will call you to the Devil's Land. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and smiled faintly. The two of them nodded timidly. These two people were Pei Tianhong's son and daughter, Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu. Qin Feiyang asked, where did old Pei and the others go? Do you know? We know. The two of them nodded, their faces full of envy and yearning. This matter has nothing to do with you, so don't be envious. However, for old Pei's sake, I am willing to give you a chance. Qin Feiyang said. Chance? The siblings were stunned and quickly bowed. Please give us your orders, young master, we will do our best. Stop. Qin Feiyang stopped the two of them and said indifferently, don't say those useless things, I only look at your performance. The two of them nodded, understood. All right then. From now on, help me manage the Black Tortoise realm. Qin Feiyang said. Manage the Black Tortoise realm? The two of them were shocked. He actually gave them an important task? One had to know. This was not the blood hall back then, but a real world. To be honest, they did not have the confidence to manage it. Why? You don't have the confidence to manage it well? Qin Feiyang asked. The two of them hesitated and nodded, yes. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang looked at them mockingly. The two of them hesitated again. They said that they were confident because they wanted to seize this rare opportunity, but they really did not have the courage to be sure. Pei Hongyu looked up at Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, young master, is there anyone who can guide us a little? No. Those who know how to manage have all gone to Sky Cloud Island. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The two of them fell silent again. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, if you can't do it, then forget it, don't force yourself. No. The two of them quickly waved their hands. Qin Feiyang said, you don't have to force yourself, but if I force you to manage the Black Tortoise realm, what if I mess it up? That won't happen. Although we are not in the Devil's Land, we know your principles. Protect the peace of the Black Tortoise realm and protect every living thing here. The two of them quickly said. Not bad, you know this. Alright, you can give it a try. After saying that, Qin Feiyang disappeared without a trace, leaving the brother and sister in a daze in the Devil's Land. Management, generally speaking, was very easy, but when it was really managed, one would know how difficult it was. Most importantly, with their current situation and position, they could not make any mistakes. Even if it was a small mistake, they were worried that they would anger Qin Feiyang. But they could not give up this opportunity to perform, it was too difficult. 2 days later at night. With a howl, the white-eyed wolf returned. How was it? Under the night sky, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood together like ghosts in the night. It's a little strange. The white-eyed wolf frowned. Strange? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at it suspiciously. Yes. I've been to all the big and small cities in the western and eastern continents, but there is no news about them. It's as if they suddenly disappeared from the world. The white-eyed wolf was incomparably angry. It had promised Qin Feiyang, but in the end, there was nothing. It was really embarrassing. Disappeared from the world? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This shouldn't be. Weren't these people here to hunt them down? Moreover, each of them had a sovereign divine weapon, so why were they hiding instead? The white-eyed wolf asked, do you think they felt that they couldn't beat us, so they returned to the dragon's nest? Qin Feiyang said, if it were you, after suffering such a big loss, would you run back? Of course not. If it were me, I would definitely fight to the death. The white-eyed wolf said proudly. Isn't that right? I think they've already moved from the light to the dark. After the battle in the heavenly cloud sea, they should have realized that it is impossible to kill us in the light, so they went to the dark and waited for an opportunity to make a move. Qin Feiyang pondered. Then they are still quite smart. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. Don't underestimate them. After all, they are the princes and princesses of the dragons. Besides, without any brains, would the Dragon King dare to let them come out to hunt us down? It seems that it is impossible to kill one or two of them first. Qin Feiyang shook his head regretfully. Then let's kill the princess of the Alliance capital. A cold light flashed in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. Don't. She wants to use us, I also want to use her. But why hasn't the prince of the Golden Dragon clan come out yet? Qin Feiyang frowned. Compared to the other princes and princesses, he was more interested in the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. Chapter 3461. That's right. Not counting the days we've been out, it's already been several months in the Een Demon Land. 1 day is 5,000 years of time array. 10 days is 50,000 years, 100 days is 500,000 years. He should have reconstructed his body. The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but frown. Suddenly, he looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise and asked, he wouldn't be hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to make a move, right? Hearing this, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and waved his hand. Maybe he's also staying in the dragon's nest to cultivate. Let's not make wild guesses. Anyway, that princess said she would help us keep an eye out, so let's wait. Wait? The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and asked, didn't you say we're going to the other 3 forbidden areas? Qin Feiyang said, let's wait for a few more days. If there's still no news of that prince, we'll set off for the other 3 forbidden areas. Then which forbidden area should we go to first? The white-eyed wolf asked. The 4 forbidden areas were the Een Demon Land, the Heavy Region Land, the Death Glacier, and the Buried Gods Land. Naturally, they didn't need to go to the Een Demon Land. The Heavy Region Land, the Death Glacier, and the Buried Gods Land were all in different directions. Moreover, they didn't know if the forces in these 3 forbidden areas were friends or enemies of the dragons. If they were lucky and chose the dragon's opponent, they could find allies and fight the dragons together. Because the enemy of an enemy is a friend. But if they were unlucky and chose the dragons as an ally, it would undoubtedly be one disaster after another for them. But now, regarding the 4 forbidden areas, only the dragons knew a little about them. The other 3 forbidden areas were completely unknown. The only one who knew, Little Rabbit, refused to tell them, so now it was a test of their luck. The white-eyed wolf suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "That little princess of the dragons should be familiar with the situation of the other 3 forbidden areas, right? Do you think she'll tell us? Although we're working together now, it's only limited to dealing with the crown prince of the dragons. As for the forces of the other 3 forbidden zones, since they can rule over their own forbidden zones, they must be existences that can contend against the dragons. What if these 3 forces really have a match for the dragons? Let's take a step back. Even if the 4 great forbidden zones are neither enemies nor friends, and they are all minding their own business and have nothing to do with each other, if the other 3 great forbidden zones were to receive the news and come out to join in the fun, the situation of the Sky Cloud realm would definitely become incomparably chaotic. I think the dragons wouldn't want to see such a scene. As for that woman, as the little princess of the dragons, although she has to deal with the first prince of the dragons, she definitely won't spoil the big picture or do anything that will harm the interests of the dragons. Qin Feiyang's analysis, although it was just a conjecture, was very convincing. That makes sense. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf's expression stiffened and said in surprise, "Then according to your analysis, is it possible that the dragons will stop us from going to the other 3 great forbidden zones?" Stop us? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The white-eyed wolf nodded and said in a deep voice, "Think about it. If the other 3 great forbidden zones really have a match for the dragons, then the dragons are afraid that they will come out and intervene, so they will definitely find a way to block the news." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled slightly when he heard this. This matter was not impossible. And the only way to block the news is to stop us from going to the other 3 great forbidden zones. That is to set up defenses at the entrances and exits of the 3 great forbidden zones. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flickered. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looking at the white-eyed wolf, and said in surprise, "You're not bad, you can still think of this." "What do you mean? Could it be that in your eyes, this brother is all brawn and no brains?" The white-eyed wolf said angrily. No. I'm just very surprised, that's all." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in disdain and said angrily, "If only Little Rabbit was willing to tell us directly, then we wouldn't have to think so hard here. How many brain cells would it hurt?" Qin Feiyang could not help but praise at first, but when he heard this, he could not help but roll his eyes. What expression? Did this brother say something wrong? It was originally a very easy matter to solve, but now you have to make it so troublesome. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Actually, it is still unknown whether they will set up defenses or not. After all, in their opinion, we don't know that there is a hidden force in the other 3 great forbidden zones. However, since you have already raised this doubt, then I think we should still take precautions. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looked at the white-eyed wolf, and asked, "Then why don't we go and test it out first?" "How do we test it out?" The white-eyed wolf was doubtful. "Of course not. We will go there in person. If there is really a defense, then wouldn't we be walking into a trap if we go there?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile, and 6 incarnations immediately appeared around him. It seemed that the white-eyed wolf understood the appearance of these 6 incarnations and was ready to use them to test it out. Because even if the incarnations were killed, Qin Feiyang would not be affected in any way. But why 6 incarnations? 3 great forbidden zones, as long as there were 3 incarnations. Sometimes you are very smart, but sometimes you are very smart. Sometimes you are very smart, but sometimes you are very stupid. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Can't you talk nicely? Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf immediately glared at him. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and said, "Then how many entrances do you think there are to the Een Demon Land?" "Nonsense. Of course there is one. Are you really doubting my intelligence?" The white-eyed wolf replied without hesitation. "Wrong." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. "Wrong?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "How could this be wrong?" "Think about it carefully," Qin Feiyang said. The white-eyed wolf frowned and lowered his head to recall. Suddenly, his expression froze, and he looked at Qin Feiyang with an embarrassed smile. "There are two." "Yes. One entrance in the eastern continent, one in the southern continent. These are two entrances. And the other three great forbidden zones are also connected between the two continents. Naturally, there are two entrances," Qin Feiyang said. "Ha. Mistake. The white-eyed wolf was extremely embarrassed. He actually made such a low-level mistake. How embarrassing. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a middle-aged man appeared. It was Pei Dason. "Young master." Pei Dason looked around in confusion. When he saw Qin Feiyang, he quickly bowed. Qin Feiyang asked, "You should know the coordinates of the 6 entrances to the Heavy Region, Land of Buried Gods, and Death Glacier, right?" "I know this." Pei Dason nodded. As Pei Tianhong's son and a perfect realm sovereign, his understanding of the Sky Cloud realm was naturally far beyond ordinary people. "All right, give them the coordinates," Qin Feiyang said. "All right." Pei Dason nodded and said the coordinates one by one. "Go." Qin Feiyang looked at the 6 incarnations and smiled. "Understood." The 6 incarnations nodded and looked at the white-eyed wolf, waiting for it to open the space-time teleportation channel. "In the end, you still have to rely on me." The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. With a wave of its paw, 6 space-time teleportation channels opened at the same time. Qin Feiyang and the 6 incarnations couldn't help but roll their eyes at the white-eyed wolf. Before one of the incarnations left, he turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and said, "Main body, you should hurry up and comprehend the laws of space as well. Otherwise, a certain guy will act in front of us every day." "I'll try." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Was this something that could be comprehended so easily? "What's going on?" Pei Dason looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. "Your mission is complete." Qin Feiyang didn't explain. With a wave of his hand, he sent Pei Dason to the Black Tortoise realm. "Why did you ask Pei Dason to come out?" The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "I asked him and Pei Hongyu to help manage the Black Tortoise realm." "Let them manage? Are you kidding me? Aren't you afraid that they'll embezzle?" The white-eyed wolf frowned. "If they really dare to do that, believe me, we don't need to do anything. Pei Tianhong won't let them off easily. Moreover, I let them enter the Devil's Land because of old Pei. After all, they are his children. If the two of them have really turned over a new leaf, it's fine to put them in an important position." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The white-eyed wolf said, "But don't forget that their son died in our hands." "I didn't forget. But their son is also old Pei's grandson. If old Pei can think it through, they should be able to think it through too. And I heard from Fire Lotus that the two of them have already given birth to several children in Zhongzhou." Qin Feiyang smiled. "So fast?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Is it fast? The Black Tortoise realm has been here for hundreds of thousands of years." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Compared to ordinary people, they are definitely slow. But compared to you and little lunatic, hee. Understand it yourself." The white-eyed wolf snickered. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He glared fiercely at the white-eyed wolf and then closed his eyes to sense the situation of his incarnation. Speaking of children, who didn't want to have a son or a daughter? But not everyone could have their wish fulfilled. Because many people had their own difficulties. back to the 6 incarnations. They descended above the 6 entrances almost at the same time. And as soon as they appeared, they directly rushed toward the 3 forbidden areas. But at the same time, boom! Below the 6 entrances, a terrifying divine might erupted. Like a tide, it rushed toward the 6 incarnations. Without any suspense, the 6 incarnations were annihilated on the spot. What? It's actually not his original body? Immediately, an angry voice sounded from the 6 entrances. At the same time when the 6 incarnations were annihilated, Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes. 2 cold lights burst out. Someone really set up defenses? The white-eyed wolf was surprised. Yes. There are defenses at all 6 entrances. Qin Feiyang nodded. Damn, this is really crazy. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. This means that they really don't want the other 3 forbidden areas to participate. Qin Feiyang sneered. Then does this mean that the dragons and the 3 forbidden areas are enemies? The white-eyed wolf asked. We can't jump to conclusions too early. It's possible that they simply don't want the 3 forbidden areas to participate. However, judging from the current situation, even if the 4 forbidden areas aren't enemies, their relationship shouldn't be that good. In that case, it's considered good news for us. At least we don't have to face the joint suppression of the 4 forbidden areas. Maybe we can really find a reliable ally when the time comes. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said with a smile. It seems that we have to go to the 3 forbidden areas. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a while and said. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Chapter 3462. How long will it take to go to all 3 forbidden areas? Moreover, little madman is not here now. If there is something like the Een demon force in the 3 forbidden areas, I don't care. But you will die if you go in. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Some things seemed simple, but when they were put into practice, they would find that there were many difficulties. I don't think so. Last time, Old Pei and Old Wang said that although the 3 forbidden areas are dangerous, there doesn't seem to be anything like the Een demon land. As long as there is nothing like the Een demon force, then I have nothing to be afraid of. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay, you are awesome. Then who was the one who killed the 6 avatars? The white-eyed wolf asked. I can only sense the location of the incarnations and whether they are alive or dead. I don't know anything else because the distance is too far. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then it seems that we have to go to these entrances? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said with a smile, anyway, we have to wait for a few days. Why don't we investigate first and find out who it is and think of a way to deal with it in advance? The white-eyed wolf nodded, thought for a moment, and said, now that we are in the Western continent, let's go to the 2 entrances of the Western continent first. What forbidden areas are connected to the Western continent? The Death Glacier and the Heavy Region. Qin Feiyang said. The Death Glacier connected the Western continent and the White Continent. The Heavy Region connected the Western continent and the Southern continent. Then let's go to the entrance of the Heavy Region first. The place where Pei Dason and the others were hiding last time seemed to be outside the Heavy Region. The white-eyed wolf said. Okay. And we can't use the coordinates that Pei Dason gave us before. We must first teleport to the entrance and then slowly approach it. Otherwise, when we appear, we will be ambushed like the incarnations. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. This was not a game. They would lose their lives. At the same time. At the entrance of the Heavy Region. In a small valley, a young man in blood-red clothes looked up at the sky with a frown. Behind him, there were 2 other old men in blood-red clothes. Their faces were gloomy. The young man withdrew his gaze and looked at the 2 old men, asking, why did Qin Feiyang send his doppelganger to the Heavy Realm? I don't know. However, the second princess and the third prince have already said that this is not a clone. The two of them reminded him. I know it's not a clone. That's not the main point. More importantly, why did he send a clone over? Could it be that he knew we were lying in ambush here? The blood-robed young man raised his eyebrows. Impossible. This was a decision we made after we left the Heaven Cloud Sea. Even if he has divine foresight, there's no way he could have predicted that we would set an ambush here. Unless, at this point, the eyes of the two blood-red robed old men trembled. They quickly shook their heads and denied the thought in their hearts. Unless what? The blood-red clothed young man was suspicious. Unless one of us tipped him off. However, that is absolutely impossible. The two old men shook their heads. Tipped him off, the blood-red clothed young man murmured and sneered, it's not impossible. Don't forget that little sister of mine. Given the grudge between her and Big Brother, she might do something stupid. The two old men looked at each other and warned the blood-red clothed young man, Your Highness, it's best not to make such baseless guesses in the future. Otherwise, if others hear it, they will definitely say that you are trying to sow discord, which will have a negative impact on your reputation. I know. I'm just saying it in front of you. The blood-red clothed young man waved his hand and pondered for a moment before saying, There's one more thing that I don't understand. Qin Feiyang came here to probe, so he should be planning to enter the Heavy Realm. Do you think this is a coincidence, or they want to hide in the Heavy Realm to avoid our pursuit? Or, as we think, they came here with a purpose? Do you mean that they really know the secret of the 4 forbidden areas and want to form an alliance with the 3 forbidden areas? The two old men were surprised. The blood-red clothed young man said angrily, How would I know? I'm not a roundworm in his stomach. Aren't I asking you? The two old men pondered for a while before looking at the blood-red clothed young man and saying, With Qin Feiyang's intelligence, he knows about the existence of the dragons. It's possible that he has connected the 3 forbidden areas with a hidden force, but what? The blood-red clothed young man was suspicious. But even if he can think of this, he can't be sure about the relationship between the dragons and the 3 forbidden areas. So, I don't think he dares to take this risk and break into the 3 forbidden areas directly. He will definitely find a way to figure out our situation first. The two old men said. Dares not? You still don't know the guts of Qin Feiyang and his people? I don't think there's anything that they don't dare to do. The blood-red clothed young man snorted and pondered for a moment before saying in a deep voice, Well, you can contact the others and see if the same thing has happened. Okay. The two old men nodded and took out a transmission stone to send messages to the followers of the other princes and princesses. Not far away. There was a giant mountain that was about 1,000 zhang tall. At the top of the mountain, a man and a wolf stood at the edge of the cliff, looking at the valley like two ghosts. That's right. It was Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. At this moment, not only were their auras completely gone, but their bodies were also hidden in the void. Even if someone passed by, they wouldn't be able to detect them. I was wondering why I couldn't find them. It turns out that they are all blocking the entrances. The white-eyed wolf sneered secretly. I have to admit that these people have some brains. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Then shouldn't you thank me? The white-eyed wolf glanced at Qin Feiyang and said telepathically. Thank you? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. If I didn't suddenly think that someone might be guarding against us, would you have sent your incarnation to test us? If you didn't send your incarnation to test us, you would have come here brazenly. Wouldn't you have been caught off guard? The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang proudly. Yes, I admit it. You're amazing. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. I know it's your credit, but can't you keep a low profile? It's as if you're afraid that no one will know. Hey. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and asked, Then is there a need to investigate the other entrances? Of course not. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and said with a sneaky smile, "Then do you have any ideas now?" "Ideas," Qin Feiyang murmured. The princes and princesses were separated now. Moreover, one of them was in the east and the other was in the west. Even if there was a battle, the others wouldn't be able to sense it. For him, this was indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. "Okay. I'll do it." In the valley. The two old men in blood-red clothes put away the divine voice-transmitting stone and said to the young man in blood-red clothes, "You heard it too." Qin Feiyang's doppelgangers appeared at the 6 entrances of the 3 forbidden areas. "Bastard. He's obviously here to test us. I don't believe that he's so smart that he can predict everything. Someone must have tipped him off." The young man in blood-red clothes said angrily. The two old men in blood-red clothes looked at each other and didn't know what to say. This was because they also felt that no matter how smart a person was, it was impossible for him to predict everything. Therefore, it was more convincing that someone had tipped him off. However, they didn't want to believe it. After all, they knew the princes and princesses quite well. Although they were fighting openly and secretly, they still had a sense of the big picture. It was impossible for them to destroy the big picture just because of personal grudges. What on earth was going on? The 3 young men in blood-red clothes were lost in thought. The valley fell into a dead silence. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying divine power emerged like a volcanic eruption. Moreover, this divine power was right above the 3 of them. It could be said that it was very close. The 3 of them were shocked. They looked up and saw a white figure appear in the void. He was holding a horsetail whisk and was charging at them aggressively. Qin Feiyang. The 3 of them were shocked. This was too sudden. They didn't expect Qin Feiyang to come out and attack them at this time. They were completely caught off guard. However, the blood dragon blade, which was hiding in the young man in blood-red clothes, reacted at the critical moment. It appeared in an instant and attacked the horsetail whisk. However, it didn't have time to fully recover. With a loud clang, it was sent flying by the horsetail whisk. "You didn't expect this, did you? You wanted to ambush me here and catch me off guard. However, you were attacked by me instead." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Like a demon god descending to the world, he raised his horsetail whisk and smashed it towards the 3 people's heads. "Take His Highness away and inform the other princesses and princes immediately." One of the old men in blood-red clothes shouted angrily after he forced the other old man and the young man in blood-red clothes to retreat. Then, he transformed into his real body in an instant. It was a blood dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long. It looked as if it was covered in blood and had a murderous aura. "You're really not afraid of death? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish." Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. As the horsetail whisk fell, the divine power shattered in all directions. The blood dragon screamed in pain. Its huge body and divine soul exploded in the void and were crushed into pieces. "Blood dragon blade, hold him back." The other old man shouted angrily. He grabbed the young man in blood-red clothes and flew away without looking back. At the same time, the young man in blood-red clothes took out his divine voice-transmitting stone. "Horsetail whisk, hold him back." Qin Feiyang also let out a shout. The horsetail whisk left his hand and shot towards the blood dragon blade. At the same time, Qin Feiyang used the space-time step and chased after the young man in blood-red clothes and the old man in blood-red clothes. Seeing that the young man in blood-red clothes was activating the sacred voice-transmitting stone, he shouted secretly, "Ancient Castle, come out and help me." However, Ancient Castle didn't respond at all. "My dear lord, although they only have one sovereign divine weapon, they are dragons. It's not easy to get this opportunity. Can't you help me?" Qin Feiyang felt helpless. Whether it was in the past or now, as long as Qin Feiyang could deal with the situation, Ancient Castle wouldn't show up no matter what he said. Chapter 3463. What should we do? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. If Gu Bao didn't appear, he wouldn't be able to catch up with them even if he activated the slaughter zone. Because the slaughter zone was strong in other aspects, but speed was its biggest weakness. How could he let the duck in his mouth fly away just like that? He couldn't accept it. Clang. Suddenly, accompanied by a deafening sound, a black divine light rushed out from between Qin Feiyang's eyebrows. It was Gu Bao. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and said with a smile, "That's right. The enemies we faced before were too weak, so you didn't have to do anything. But it's different now. Even you might not be able to deal with the enemies we're facing now. You talk too much. Didn't I do this to train you?" Gu Bao said angrily. "Big brother, you've been with me every day. Don't you know me? Take a good look. Do I still need to train now?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Don't be so smug. No matter who it is, they can only stabilize their mind and state of mind under constant training. Gu Bao then released a monstrous divine aura, shattering the void and the earth as he charged toward the red-clothed youth. "Oh no. Your Highness, you go first." The red-clothed elder's expression changed. He pushed the red-clothed youth away and turned to face Gu Bao. A terrifying power of law burst out. In just an instant, 10 golden lotuses appeared in the sky, exuding a destructive divine aura as they blasted toward Gu Bao. Karma law, the ultimate mystery. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He quickly looked at Gu Bao and shouted, "Keep him alive." Then, he waved his hand and the white-eyed wolf appeared. It pointed at the red-clothed youth and shouted, "Go after him." The white-eyed wolf nodded and immediately opened a space-time transmission channel. The other end of the channel was in front of the red-clothed youth. Qin Feiyang immediately rushed in. Before the white-eyed wolf entered the space-time transmission channel, it saw the 10 golden lotuses and shouted, "Sir, you must keep him alive." Then, it also rushed into the space-time transmission channel. Damn it. Seeing Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf chasing the red-clothed youth, the red-clothed elder's face was full of anger. He also turned and flew toward the red-clothed youth. "You still want to save him? You don't take me seriously, do you?" Gu Bao snorted coldly, and his divine might shook the world. The 10 golden lotuses were shattered in an instant. Then, with a flash, he descended above the old man in blood-red robes, and his terrifying divine might surged. Since they wanted to keep him alive, they naturally couldn't kill him. Seeing this, the old man's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with despair the next moment. A destructive aura roared out from his body. Self-detonate. However, trying to self-destruct in front of a sovereign weapon was far too naive. The ancient castle's godly aura poured into the old man's chi si, causing it to collapse on the spot. "Save the red-clothed youth too." The blood-robed old man roared. The blood dragon blade actually wanted to rescue him, but it had no choice. The horsetail whisk was trying its best to restrain it, so it could not get away. At the same time, when the blood-red clothed young man saw a space-time crack appear in front of him, he knew that it was Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf who were chasing after him. He turned around without hesitation, activated his supreme-level support divine technique, and fled in another direction. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared from the space-time crack. Seeing this, they raised their eyebrows. "You block him from behind. I'll block him from the front." The white-eyed wolf opened another space-time transmission channel and appeared in front of the red-clothed youth. The red-clothed youth's face changed. He turned around and saw Qin Feiyang coming from behind. The red-clothed youth was restrained by the horsetail whisk, and the red-clothed elder's sea of qi was destroyed. He was imprisoned by Gu Bao. There was no way he could survive. Run? The white-eyed wolf sneered. He activated his 3 supreme profound meanings and rushed toward the red-clothed youth like a bolt of lightning. One had to know. Among its 3 profundities, there was also the law of time's momentary time. He was so fast that the naked eye couldn't see him. Behind him, Qin Feiyang also used the space-time step and held the blood-red sword in his hand. This wasn't the slaughter zone. It was the kill formula. But now, the kill character art was also a supreme-level heaven-defying divine art. Its power was many times stronger than before. I can't accept this. Blood Dragon Realm. The young man in blood-red clothes roared out and a wave of blood-red chi surged out. In an instant, it formed a blood-red barrier that enveloped him. Another forbidden technique? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf raised their eyebrows. The blood-red sword, the supreme profound meanings of the spacetime and the death law hit the barrier at the same time. The barrier only trembled a little. It's indeed a forbidden technique. It's the same as the Black Dragon Realm and the Fire Dragon Realm. This must be a forbidden technique created by the dragons themselves. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. I'd like to see if this forbidden technique is invincible. Qin Feiyang stepped out and activated his 3,000 clones. The world was immediately flooded with terrifying killing intent because all 3,000 clones had activated the kill formula. Kill. Following Qin Feiyang's shout, the 3,000 incarnations raised their blood-colored swords one after another. The sharpness of their swords could destroy heaven and earth as they slashed towards the blood dragon domain. Buzz. At this moment, inside the barrier, the voice transmission stone in the red-clothed youth's hand shone brightly. The image of a green-clothed woman appeared. She was about 1.75 meters tall and wore a light green dress. Her hair was like a waterfall and her face was beautiful. She exuded a youthful aura. Help! The red-clothed youth roared at the green-clothed woman. The green-clothed woman was stunned. It's Qin Feiyang. Come and save me. The red-clothed youth roared again. Qin Feiyang. The green-clothed woman's eyes trembled. Boom. At the same time, the 3,000 clones charged and the blood dragon realm immediately distorted. Hang in there. The red-clothed youth roared at the barrier. It seems that there is a limit to the blood dragon realm. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. He waved the blood-colored sword in his hand and furiously chopped down. As his blood-red long sword approached, the bounded domain was shattered with a cracking sound. The 3,000 incarnations waved their hands at the same time, and the blood-red long swords flew out of their hands. The long swords flew toward the red-clothed young man with billowing sword chi. Go! The voice of the ancient castle sounded. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and ignored the red-clothed youth. They activated the moment of time and rushed toward the ancient castle. It would be best if they could kill him, but there was nothing they could do if they couldn't. The green-clothed woman must have received the red-clothed youth's request and was on her way. If they didn't leave now, they wouldn't be able to. After all, they had to get rid of the blood dragon blade. The 3,000 clones also dissipated. When the white-eyed wolf took Qin Feiyang and activated the moment of time and landed next to the ancient castle immediately swept them and the red-clothed elder into the battlefield of the horsetail whisk and the blood dragon blade. Clang! The two sovereign divine weapons attacked the blood dragon blade at the same time. Even though the blood dragon blade was a sovereign divine weapon, it couldn't withstand the combined attack of the ancient castle and the horsetail whisk. Immediately, the blood dragon blade was blown away. Then, the white-eyed wolf opened a spacetime transmission channel. The ancient castle and the horsetail whisk took the two of them and the white-eyed wolf into it without looking back. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, with a loud bang, a stone door opened in the sky. 3 figures rushed out at lightning speed. They were the green-clothed woman and the two green-clothed elders. When they saw the battle below, their faces darkened. When they saw the space-time transmission channel, a cold light flashed in the green-clothed woman's eyes and she shouted, "Stop them." The two green-clothed elders immediately swooped down. The power of laws surged out and blasted toward the space-time transmission channel. With a loud bang, the space-time transmission channel collapsed, but they didn't see Qin Feiyang and the others appear. The two elders looked at each other and frowned slightly. They returned to the green-clothed woman and sighed. They have already escaped. Bastard. The green-clothed woman clenched her hands and looked at the blood dragon blade. The blood dragon blade went straight to where the red-clothed youth was. When it reached the sky, the blood dragon blade released a divine power. The murderous intent and sharpness that filled the sky instantly collapsed and dissipated. But at this moment, the red-clothed youth was nowhere to be found. Is he dead? The green-clothed woman and the two elders landed beside the blood dragon blade and asked in a deep voice. Clang! At this moment, more stone doors appeared one after another. These were all space-time transmission divine artifacts. There were also space-time transmission channels. Needless to say, these people must be the other princes and princesses. They were naturally notified by the green-clothed woman and the other two elders. Where is he? Everyone glanced around the battlefield and looked at the green-clothed woman, the other two elders, and the blood dragon blade. The green-clothed woman looked around and sighed. It seems that other than the blood dragon blade, they have all been wiped out. What? The eyes of the group trembled. They were originally here to ambush Qin Feiyang and the others, but they didn't expect to be ambushed by Qin Feiyang. Why was this person so difficult to deal with? He's not dead. Suddenly, the blood dragon blade said and a divine power appeared below. Soon, it wrapped up a wisp of blood-red divine soul and returned to him. It was like a strand of hair. It was hard to notice if one didn't look carefully. This was the remaining divine soul of the red-clothed youth. Fortunately, you came in time. Otherwise, his divine soul would have been destroyed. The green-clothed woman heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at the blood dragon blade and asked, was this done by Qin Feiyang's divine weapon? No. It was Qin Feiyang. He has the ability to break the blood dragon domain. You must be careful when you face him in the future. The blood dragon blade warned. He can break the blood dragon domain? The group of princes and princesses couldn't help but turn pale when they heard this. However, they didn't see the black-clothed woman and the white-clothed youth here. This is so satisfying. In the depths of a mountain, the white-eyed wolf couldn't stop laughing. He finally vented the anger he suffered at the hands of the dragons. Qin Feiyang glanced at the white-eyed wolf and lowered his head. I wonder if the prince is dead. It doesn't matter if he's not dead. Anyway, we've already won this time. The white-eyed wolf waved his paws and turned to look at the red-clothed elder. His eyes suddenly emitted a green light and the corners of his mouth were dripping with saliva. The red-clothed elder was considered a big shot, but he couldn't help but feel scared when he saw the white-eyed wolf's eyes. Chapter 34-64. Don't be afraid. We won't hurt you. The white-eyed wolf bared his fangs. Who would believe that? The old man roared in his heart. He could tell that the old man was up to no good. Let's go to the Black Tortoise realm. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang eagerly. Qin Feiyang looked at the blood-red clothed old man, his face filled with schadenfreude. Being targeted by an ingrate, he could only blame himself for being unlucky. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, 2 men and 1 wolf, as well as the horsetail whisk and the castle, appeared in the sky above the Devil's Land. This place, the old man looked around in shock. Was this Qin Feiyang's power? At the same time, Below. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu flew over and looked at the old man suspiciously. Who was this unlucky kid? The white-eyed wolf walked to the old man and smiled. How do you feel about the Black Tortoise realm? The old man in blood-red clothes remained silent. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. I'll just take your power of law. The white-eyed wolf smiled and the green light in his eyes became more intense. It was as if he was staring at a delicious cake. The old man's scalp went numb. What did he mean by taking his power of law? You'll understand soon. The white-eyed wolf looked at the horsetail whisk and shouted, "Hold him down." Boom! The horsetail whisk trembled slightly, and a monstrous power roared out. The red-robed old man was immediately confined in the void. The white-eyed wolf didn't waste any more time. He activated his fighting soul and took the old man's law of cause and effect. Is this his innate superpower that can take the power of law? Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were also bewildered. They had heard that the white-eyed wolf had such an ability, but it was their first time seeing it with their own eyes. It was unbelievable. Such an innate superpower really existed in the world. What kind of monster was this? Ah, the old man also screamed. His feelings were the most obvious. The power of the nomological laws was being stripped away. It felt as if a large hand was forcibly pulling out the bones in his body one by one. After a while. After successfully extracting the karma law, the ingrate immediately ran back to the castle to fuse with it. After entering the Black Tortoise realm, the ancient castle returned to its original position. The horsetail whisk also withdrew its pressure and sank into Qin Feiyang's body. The old man in the blood-red robe, on the other hand, seemed to have been drained of all his strength. He was paralyzed in the void, not moving at all. However, his face was filled with bewilderment. What's going on? Why couldn't he sense the existence of the law of karma? The old man raised his head slowly and looked at Qin Feiyang, asking, "Tell me, what did it do to me?" Obviously. It stripped you of the law of cause and effect. In other words, from this moment on, you will lose the law of karma. This might sound unimaginable, but it's all true. Qin Feiyang smiled. What? The old man's eyes trembled, and his face turned pale. Losing the law of cause and effect, what was the difference between that and death? Bastard, go to hell with me. The blood-red-clothed old man suddenly roared in anger. His spirit sense surged out, and pounced on Qin Feiyang. However, Qin Feiyang was indifferent. Although the old man could kill him with the power of the divine soul, there was not only the horsetail whisk in his body, but also Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu would not miss this opportunity to show off. As expected. Seeing this, the two of them attacked almost at the same time, slapping at the old man's divine consciousness. The divine consciousness was shattered on the spot. How dare you attack the young master? Pei Dason's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took another step forward and landed in front of the old man. He raised his arm and slapped at the old man's head. No, the old man screamed in horror. However, Pei Dason turned a deaf ear to him. It was rare for him to show off, so he had to do it perfectly. Don't kill him yet. However, at this moment, Qin Feiyang said. Pei Dason was slightly stunned. His palm stopped above the old man's head, and his divine power directly tore the old man's scalp. Blood gushed out and gradually dyed the old man's face red, making him look extremely embarrassed. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and gently pushed Pei Dason away. He looked at the old man and said with a smile, "Tell me the details about the dragons, and I'll let you live." Why do you want to know? The old man looked at Qin Feiyang, still in shock. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "Know yourself and know your enemy. Don't you understand that?" The old man's pupils contracted. He said in disbelief, "Do you really want to fight the dragons to the end? Do you think I'm joking?" Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. It was already a life-or-death situation, and the old man asked such a stupid question. Did the old man really think he was joking? You're no match for the dragons. The strength of the dragons is not something an ant like you can imagine. The old man laughed. His blood-stained face looked ferocious. You're courting death. Pei Dason shouted. However, this time, the old man didn't show any fear. He closed his eyes and waited for death. Pei Dason raised his eyebrows and turned to Qin Feiyang. Young master, what do you think? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the old man in silence. If this person's cultivation was below the great mastery of the Dominator realm, it would be easy to deal with him. He could just use the slave seal or the puppet technique to forcibly read his memory. However, this person's cultivation was at the peak of the Dominator realm. Forcibly controlling him would definitely backfire. It wasn't easy to capture one of the dragons alive. He wanted to find out more information, but now there was no hope. I see. I won't ask you about the dragons. Tell me about the other 3 forbidden areas, and I'll let you go. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said to the old man in blood-stained clothes. Don't even think about it. The old man in blood-stained clothes sneered. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with anger. He had thought that this old man was afraid of death. When he was facing Pei Dason, he didn't pretend to be afraid. However, he didn't expect him to be so stubborn when he asked about the dragons. This was a bit difficult. Because for someone like him, even if he used a blood oath, it would be meaningless. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. He looked at Pei Dason and said, let's kill it. When the time comes, cut up its body and place it in the various forbidden areas. We will gift it to the fated people of the Black Tortoise world. Pei Dason nodded. Suddenly, he felt a little envious of the people in the Black Tortoise world. Whether it was the crystal veins, the spirit veins, the divine arts, the divine weapons, or the pill recipes, they were all given by Qin Feiyang. For example, this old man in blood-stained clothes. His true form was a blood dragon. He had the cultivation of a perfected sovereign. Any dragon scale, drop of dragon blood, or piece of dragon meat could bring great fortune to the people in the Black Tortoise world. After Pei Dason killed the old man in blood-stained clothes and divided his divine soul, the old man's body immediately turned back into the body of a divine dragon. It was indeed a blood dragon. Immediately after, the brother and sister were about to leave with the blood dragon's body. But suddenly, a figure broke through the air like lightning. Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu were stunned. Someone dared to trespass into the Devil's Land? Stop! The two of them immediately let out a shout. The person immediately stopped in the void. It turned out to be an old man in green clothes. His face was flushed and he looked very energetic. Lord Sovereign? The old man in green clothes looked at Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu suspiciously. When he saw Qin Feiyang, a trace of joy appeared on his face. However, when he saw the blood dragon, he was even more excited. Immediately, he hurriedly flew in front of Qin Feiyang and bowed, "Greetings, Lord Sovereign." "You are?" Qin Feiyang looked at the old man suspiciously. He had never seen him before. However, there was a smell of wine on the old man's body. The old man in green clothes hurriedly said, "I am Zhao Si, the person in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine." The person in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He knew that someone was in charge of brewing the Black Tortoise divine wine, but he didn't know who it was. Because he didn't care much about these things. After all, he had never been interested in wine. Yes. I really didn't expect to meet the Lord Sovereign in this trip to the Devil's Land. It's really a blessing of 3 lifetimes. Zhao Si looked at Qin Feiyang with a face full of admiration. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, and asked, "Then did you get the permission of Pai Lupi and the others to come to the Devil's Land?" No. Zhao Si shook his head. You dare to barge in without them? Pei Dason frowned. I had no choice. Previously, I contacted Pai Lupi and Theta Wang more than once, but they didn't respond. I had no choice but to enter the Devil's Land without permission. Lord Sovereign, please forgive me. I really didn't mean to. Zhao Si was terrified. It's fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and asked with a smile, why are you looking for Pai Lupi and the others? Recently, we have developed a new divine wine that requires a special material, so I wanted to tell them. Zhao Si nodded. A new divine wine? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. We have a hunch that once this divine wine is born, it will definitely be better than the Black Tortoise divine wine. Zhao Si's face was full of confidence. Is that so? Qin Feiyang was surprised. But this special material, at this point, Zhao Si glanced at the blood dragon, his eyes full of desire. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at the blood dragon and asked suspiciously, the material you want is a divine dragon? No. Zhao Si hurriedly waved his hand and said, that's too exaggerated. I only want dragon blood. I thought it would be difficult to find, but I didn't expect there to be ready-made ones. Lord Sovereign, you see, he looked at Qin Feiyang carefully. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Pei Dason and the others, saying, the two of you cooperate with him. If there is anything he needs, try to satisfy him. Yes. The two of them nodded respectfully. Thank you, Lord Sovereign. Zhao Si was pleasantly surprised. In the past, he had heard Pai Lupi and Theta Wang say that this Lord Sovereign was friendly and amiable, but he didn't believe it. Now that he saw him, it was indeed so. He was a wise lord. Where is the base of your wine? Qin Feiyang asked curiously. Zhao Si smiled and said, it's just outside the Devil's Land, not far away. If Lord Sovereign is interested, you can go take a look. When I'm free, I'll go take a look. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. Zhao Si nodded. Qin Feiyang thought for a moment and asked, how many people do you have in total? Including me, there are a total of 15 people. All of them are famous winemakers in the Black Tortoise world. Zhao Si said. So few? Qin Feiyang was surprised. It's not few. After all, not every winemaker is at the level of a master. Our principle is to rather have nothing than to have something substandard. Besides, what we brew is divine wine, not ordinary wine. So we pay more attention to quality than quantity. Zhao Si chuckled. Okay, I don't understand anyway. You can do as you see fit. But while brewing wine, you can't neglect your cultivation. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Lord Sovereign, thank you for your concern. Zhao Si bowed. Go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yes. Zhao Si respectfully responded, then looked at Pei Dason and Zhao Si, cupping his hands and saying, thank you for your trouble. No problem, lead the way. Pei Dason waved his hand. Even Qin Feiyang was so humble, they naturally didn't dare to put on airs. Then, the two of them took the blood dragon and followed behind Zhao Si, flying out of the Devil's Land. It's better than the Black Tortoise divine wine, I'm really looking forward to it. Qin Feiyang murmured, a faint smile creeping on his face. He glanced at the desolate Devil's Land and disappeared into the ancient castle. Chapter 3465. In the blink of an eye. Black Tortoise World. 1,000 years had passed. Outside, a day had already passed. The white-eyed wolf's karma law had long been successfully integrated, and his cultivation had broken through to the greater mastery sovereign realm as he wished. And now, he alone had mastered the supreme mysteries of the four strongest laws. To be honest, it was impossible not to be envious. But it was indeed as the white-eyed wolf often said, this kind of thing could not be envied. Qin Feiyang had long been used to it, silently comprehending the law of force, the law of wind, and the law of war. The next morning. Buzz. Suddenly. A sound came from the divine sound transmission stone. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and took out the divine sound transmission stone. When he looked down, his expression froze. It was actually the sea lion sending him a message. He hurriedly activated the divine sound transmission stone, and the sea lion's phantom immediately appeared, immediately saying, "Brother Qin, the divine sound transmission stone that you gave me suddenly made a sound. Someone should be sending you a message." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said with a smile, "I'll be right there." "Okay." The sea lion nodded, and the phantom directly dissipated. Qin Feiyang put away the divine sound transmission stone, got up and walked out of the cultivation room, shouting, "White-eyed wolf, come out and work." However, there was no response. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, releasing his perception. He was actually not in the castle. He walked out of the castle and scanned the surrounding medicinal fields. Soon, he saw the white-eyed wolf in one of the medicinal fields on the left. He saw the white-eyed wolf lying on a thick tree of fortune, holding a wine jar and eating a fruit of fortune, looking as comfortable as it could be. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. It really knew how to enjoy. Immediately, he took a step and landed below the tree of fortune. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly sniffed and smelled an intoxicating wine aroma. This wine aroma was completely different from the black tortoise divine brew. Just by smelling it, he couldn't help but feel lightheaded, as if he was floating between the clouds. Qin Feiyang was astonished. What kind of wine was this? Even he couldn't help but salivate. Suddenly, he looked at the wine jar in the white-eyed wolf's arms. The wine jug wasn't big, it was also made of precious jade. Compared to the black tortoise divine brew's jug, it was much smaller. Huang Xiaolong estimated that it could only hold about 2 jin. The aroma of the wine seemed to be coming from the wine pot. "He's out. Do you want a bite too?" The white-eyed wolf grabbed the wine jug and took a sip. He looked at Qin Feiyang and grinned. "Try it." Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Was he really going to drink it? It was a little reluctant to leave. "Hurry up," Qin Feiyang urged. "Just one bite, not too much." The white-eyed wolf landed in front of Qin Feiyang and carefully handed the wine pot to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. The wine jug was indeed very small. He could grab it with one hand. He put it at the tip of his nose and smelled it. His eyes lit up. Then he put it at the corner of his mouth and took a sip, savoring the taste. Not only was the wine pure, soft, and smooth, it also contained the essence of a divine dragon. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, "Is this the new divine brew that Zhao Si and the others developed?" "Yes." The white-eyed wolf nodded and said in admiration, "I have to say that these people are really good at making wine. They can actually extract the essence of dragon blood and infuse it into the wine. I heard from Zhao Si that if a mortal drank a sip of this wine, they would definitely be reborn. Something like that. After all, this is the essence of dragon blood. And it seems to have infused the essence of many herbs. Not to mention mortals, even imperishable realm cultivators can benefit greatly from drinking this wine." Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf snatched the wine jug from Qin Feiyang's hand and chuckled. "You don't like to drink anyway, so don't waste it." Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Although he didn't like to drink, there was no need to say that it was a waste. The white-eyed wolf asked, "Do you know how they make this wine? How is it brewed?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "I don't know the process, and I don't care. I just drink it. But I heard that the brewing process is very complicated." Just the water used to make this wine is very difficult to obtain. The white-eyed wolf said. Is it that exaggerated? Qin Feiyang was stunned. It's not exaggerated at all. Because the water used to make this wine is collected from morning dew. The white-eyed wolf said. Morning dew? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and said, Isn't it just dew? Don't think that it's ordinary dew. This is the morning dew collected from the herbs. And I heard that it can't be collected on the same day. After all, the morning dew has to absorb the essence of the herbs. For example, the morning dew that appeared this morning. They used some special methods to seal the morning dew in the herbs. After the morning dew has absorbed enough essence, it can be collected. It seems that there's something else to do. It's too complicated. I listened for a while and then I was too lazy to listen anymore. In short, Zhao Si said that it would take at least 10 years to brew a bottle of wine like this. Originally, if it was placed in the crystal veins and spirit veins and nourished for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, the taste would be even better. However, I couldn't resist and got 2 bottles in advance. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. 10 years? Qin Feiyang was extremely shocked. Just a jug of wine would take 10 years? The white-eyed wolf laughed and said, In fact, there's only one purpose for telling you this. In the future, when we're outside, don't be so generous. We don't even have enough to drink ourselves. Qin Feiyang was speechless when he heard this. But to be honest, he was a little reluctant to give away such wine. After all, this jug of wine was the result of 10 years of hard work by Zhao Si and the others. Is the dragon blood enough? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. I heard that each jug of wine only uses 10 drops of dragon blood. The dragon blood of that blood dragon is enough for them to brew at least hundreds of thousands of jugs. Let's talk about it later. Such a big dragon, are we afraid that we don't have enough dragon blood? The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Haha, hearing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Looking at the white-eyed wolf, he asked, You have 2 jugs, right? Yes. The white-eyed wolf nodded, then looked at Qin Feiyang warily and said, What do you want? Give me a jug. Qin Feiyang stretched out his hand. No. The white-eyed wolf shook his head as if guarding against a thief. Hurry up, we still have to go to the heavenly cloud sea later. That little princess of the dragons sent a message to us. It may be that the first prince of the dragons has come out. If it's really the first prince of the dragons, then he must have followers by his side. Maybe you can get another supreme mystery of the strongest law. Qin Feiyang said. Really? The white-eyed wolf quivered and quickly asked. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. The white-eyed wolf quickly took out another jug of wine and handed it to Qin Feiyang, saying, You prepared this for the little rabbit. This little rabbit is strong and has a terrifying background. It doesn't lack anything. We can only use wine to bribe it. Qin Feiyang nodded and left the black tortoise world with the white-eyed wolf. Chapter 3466. Heavenly Cloud Sea. When Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf arrived above the sea, they found that there was an additional island below. At the edge of the island, rocks were piled up, looking extremely messy. But inside, there were rolling mountains and verdant vegetation, full of vitality. In the center, there was a giant mountain, and on top of the mountain, there was a sea lion. Sensing Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's aura, the sea lion immediately looked up and shouted, Brother Qin, Brother Wolf, I'm here. One man and one wolf looked down at the sea lion, then took a step forward and landed in front of the sea lion. What's going on with this island? The white-eyed wolf glanced at the island and asked suspiciously. The sea lion said, I moved this from afar. From now on, this place will be called Sea Lion Island. The white-eyed wolf nodded and said with a sneaky smile, even the territory has been settled. You want to be the king of this area?" The sea lion laughed. The sea beasts in this area were not strong. Most of them were at or below the imperishable realm. So, with its half-step dominator cultivation, it could indeed be the king of this area. "Don't worry. If you need our help in the future, just let us know." The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. "Okay." The sea lion was overjoyed. With Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf's protection, its future would definitely be limitless. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where's the divine sound stone?" The sea lion took out the divine sound stone and said, "Before you came, it rang for a while. The other party probably has something urgent to talk to you about." Qin Feiyang took the divine sound stone. Buzz. Soon, a shadow appeared. It was the silver-haired woman. The silver-haired woman raised her eyebrows and said, "What are you doing? I've been talking to you for a long time and you didn't respond?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "I'm busy." "You're really a busy man." "But that's true. Yesterday, he almost killed my fourth brother at the entrance of the heavy domain." The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang meaningfully and asked, "I'm really curious. Even I didn't know that they were lying in ambush at the entrance of the 3 forbidden zones." "How did you know?" "You don't know?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "I don't know. Due to certain reasons, they are somewhat repulsed by me. Thus, generally speaking, they will be on guard against me." There was a hint of sadness in the silver-haired woman's eyes. "I think it's because you are too smart," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The silver-haired woman chuckled and said, "You really know how to talk. Even I can't help but feel slightly smug. But then again, how exactly did you find out?" "I guessed," Qin Feiyang said. "You guessed?" The silver-haired woman was stunned. This answer was a bit unexpected. When she learned about this, she also thought that someone had tipped off Qin Feiyang, because this was not a problem that a normal person could think of. But unexpectedly, it turned out to be a guess. "You don't believe me?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "I do." The silver-haired woman nodded. If it was Qin Feiyang, it might really be possible. "You came looking for me this time to ask about this matter?" "If that's the case, then you are wasting my time," Qin Feiyang said. "Don't be anxious. Such a small matter is not worthy of me specially sending a message to you." There was a trace of disdain in the silver-haired woman's eyes. Then, she said, "The person you are looking forward to has already come out of the dragon's nest." "Really?" Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. Their eyes flashed. "Yes. He seems to be in the demon palace now. However, according to what I heard, not only does he have a sovereign divine weapon with him, but he also has 4 followers. There is even news that the divine child is with him." The silver-haired woman said in a deep voice. "Divine child?" Qin Feiyang frowned. He seemed to have heard them mention this divine child last time. And this divine child seemed to be very familiar with him. He had wondered if it could be the son of the ice dragon. The woman said, "I heard from this divine child that he is an old friend of yours." Old friend? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and a figure immediately appeared in their minds. It seemed that it was really the prince of the dragons. "However, I am not sure whether the divine child has left the dragon's nest and is with my brother. You will have to investigate this matter yourself. Of course, I also believe that even if this divine child is here, he won't be able to stop you from killing him." The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman and shook his head. "It is not good to be too smart. It is also not good to not be smart," the silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang didn't linger on this topic any longer. He asked, "For followers and a sovereign divine weapon. Then, did your big brother's cultivation change?" "I am not too sure about this matter." In short, my relationship with my brother is very complicated. Even I can only find out about his background through secret investigations. Do you think we are very sad? We are brother and sister, but we have to be wary of each other. The silver-haired woman laughed self-deprecatingly. I understand. Not to mention you dragons, even if it is just a small family, brothers and sisters can't avoid scheming against each other. However, are you princes and princesses brothers and sisters by blood? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. No. Although we all call each other brother and sister, we are born in different places. I was born in the Silver Dragon clan. My brother was born in the Golden Dragon clan. In other words, we are only siblings in name and have no blood ties. The silver-haired woman said. If that is the case, it is more understandable. Brothers can't avoid scheming against each other, let alone a relationship like yours. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The silver-haired woman smiled. It seems that you have also experienced these things. Of course. Who in this world hasn't experienced the fickleness of human nature and the fickleness of the world? Qin Feiyang shook his head and pondered for a while before asking one last question. Is there any news about the fire dragon? Yes. I was just about to tell you that it is also with my brother. The silver-haired woman smiled. A piercing cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Since the fire dragon was also there, then this trip to the demonic palace was a must. Don't worry about it. Because I will think of a way to help you delay the other princes and princesses. In other words, when you and my brother fight, no one will disturb you. The silver-haired woman's eyes also surged with coldness. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He smiled and said, then I wish us a happy cooperation. Good luck. The silver-haired woman waved her fist and smiled at Qin Feiyang, then the figure quickly dissipated. The white-eyed wolf retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. He asked, can she be trusted? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said in a deep voice, from her eyes, I can see that she wants to kill the first prince, but whether she can be trusted or not, I am not sure. In other words, we have to guard against her? The white-eyed wolf asked. That is a must. We can't lose our lives after being used by her. But this woman is indeed a bit difficult to deal with. We have to be careful in the future. Qin Feiyang said and handed the divine sound transmission stone to the sea lion. He smiled and said, I will have to trouble you to keep it safe for me. No problem. The sea lion nodded and put away the divine sound transmission stone. He pondered for a while and asked, it seems that you are planning something. Is there anything you need help with? Thank you for your kindness, but not for the time being. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang and said, you think that my cultivation is too weak to help, right? Let me tell you, I also have a backer. I know, your backer is the beast god. The white-eyed wolf said lightly. Wrong. The beast god is the overlord of the entire sky cloud realm, but under the command of the beast god, there are 8 beast emperors. The emperor of my sea lion clan is one of the 8 beast emperors. The sea lion looked at the white-eyed wolf proudly. Qin Feiyang heard this and asked, are you talking about the sea lion emperor? You know? The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. I have heard of him. Qin Feiyang nodded. As early as when he entered the sky cloud realm, he had already heard of the name of the sea lion emperor. It's just that at the beginning, he knew that the sea lion emperor was very strong, but he didn't know how strong it was. But now, with his understanding of the sky cloud realm and the sky cloud sea, he had a rough guess in his heart. Whether it was the sea lion emperor or the other 7 beast emperors, they should all be at the level of Pei Tianhong. The white-eyed wolf suddenly asked, is that little rabbit also one of the 8 beast emperors? N? Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf and frowned slightly. Yes. Originally, they thought that the little rabbit might be the beast god, but not long ago on Heavenly Cloud Island, the little rabbit had personally said that it wasn't the beast god. Then its identity in Heavenly Cloud Sea should be one of the 8 beast emperors. Uncle Rabbit, hearing this, the sea lion pondered for a while and shook its head. Uncle Rabbit is not one of the 8 beast emperors. What? No. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. If it wasn't the beast god or one of the 8 beast emperors, then what was its identity? Uncle Rabbit's identity is very mysterious. I'm afraid that except for the beast god and the 8 beast emperors, no one in the sky cloud realm knows. And there is one thing that is very strange. Uncle Rabbit has never gone to other places and has always stayed on Sky Cloud Island. The sea lion shook its head. I'll go. Is it so mysterious? The white-eyed wolf swallowed his saliva. It seems that this little rabbit is a big shot that can't be provoked. No wonder even the ice dragon can be restrained. However, one thing is certain, the little rabbit has been staying on Sky Cloud Island to guard the space-time transmission channel to the lower realm. Wait. Guard? Could it be that it is the guardian of the Sky Cloud realm? But that's not right. The little rabbit's position has always been on the side of the Sky Cloud Sea. If it is really the guardian of the Sky Cloud realm, then it shouldn't have such a position. Because as a guardian, it is guarding the order of the entire continent, not just the Sky Cloud Sea. Perhaps its duty is simply to guard the space-time transmission channel. I don't understand. Qin Feiyang shook his head and stopped looking for trouble. He looked at the sea lion and smiled. According to what you said, can the sea lion emperor help us? If you want the sea lion emperor to help you, then it depends on whether your face is big enough. The sea lion smiled. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.